Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that from Vino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today it's a very special episode because we're going back into Silent Hill to discuss a very good Silent Hill property, Silent Hill Revelation. Because we hadn't had enough. We did Silent Hill 2. We've done The Room. We did a watch party of the movie, and I thought, why not dive back into the spooky stuff? Because we have a special guest this episode.
Hello.
Hello. We are joined
What's up?
by Jess Voidburger O'Brien of Giant Bomb fame and the Internet.
Hello. Hello, Internet. I'm famous here.
Yes.
I'm cool.
Silent Hill's own.
Staten Island / Silent Hill Zone. Same place.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the borough no one talks about, much like Silent Hill is the town no one talks about.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So as always, we've also got Pete Busby. Hey, Pete.
Hey, how's it going? Excited to talk about a movie that somehow gets even less and less explicable the more you know about Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Weirdly enough. But I have an actually fun fact.
Good.
This week before things get spooky. So this is a story from HuffPo. I'll just read the headline because it tells you exactly what everything is. Wild raccoon moves in a zoo. Zookeepers have to let him stay.
Aww.
What?
Yeah. So in the Heidelberg Zoo in Germany, a raccoon moved into the raccoon enclosure. Apparently that's a zoo-worthy animal in Germany. And they're not allowed to force him out and release him back into the wild because raccoons are an invasive species.
Oh, how do you even get there?
That's a great question. The HuffPo does not say. I didn't do too much background research, honestly.
So that raccoon has squatters' rights?
Yeah, so all the raccoons listening, you know what to do. You want some free housing.
Good raccoon consumer advice whenever possible. There is one downside to the story, I'm sorry to say. It's not terrible.
Okay.
So they did have to neuter Fred the raccoon so he could stay. So he did lose that ability.
That's a good trade-off, though, for housing.
Free room and board? Sure.
Yeah, forever, for life.
Exactly.
I just would want to be the zookeeper who showed up one day and was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I just imagine that fifth raccoon was just like hiding behind one of the other four, just like, I'm not here, guys. Shut the fuck up.
Stay cool. Be cool.
I'm sure zookeepers know better than I do. I could not differentiate two raccoons on site. So I wouldn't know which one was the new one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be the testes that give him away.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
that's
Big tell.
And that other voice you hear is M. Palladino. Hello, M.
Hello. I'm back again to talk about a scary movie, even though I've gone on record every time to say I don't like scary movies. But Gino has made it his duty to see that I see all of the Silent Hill movies.
Well, now you have, so I can't force you to
all
do
two of them.
Yeah.
Two of the best video
Jacob's
game
Ladder,
movies.
which is
Sort
of a Silent Hill movie.
Which Jacob's Ladder?
So we did a podcast on the good one, on the first one, because we were going to talk about Silent Hill 2, and I was like, hey, let's watch the movie that basically inspired the whole dang series.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that, and then I, as a dark work, watched the new one.
How fucking bad was that thing?
The only way I can describe it is the cool parts of the first one are when you don't know if he's alive or dead, and the bad parts are the government conspiracy. And the sequel decided, what if it was all government conspiracy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. Good move, everybody.
Way to go. It's very free on Netflix. Don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's not very good. It's also the greenest movie I've ever seen. It's so green.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was me, but
no.
It's just...
Well, when you're in, like, Afghanistan, it's amber, and when you're elsewhere, it's green.
And when you're in Atlanta, it's green. Everyone knows this. Yeah, so don't watch the second Jacob's Ladder, no matter how little money it costs you to watch. Watch something else instead.
It ain't worth it. It really ain't. It's just like you're just gonna be baffled and bummed out by the end.
Jason
it doesn't even
Alexander
have
isn't
like.
in it.
I know.
yeah.
What's the point?
Jason Alexander's in the first Jacob's Ladder?
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
What
He's
is
a
he
lawyer.
He's like the
doing?
lawyer.
All right. I guess that checks out. Still weird, though.
He's great. He's great in it.
He was at the peak of
I
his
also
powers.
love that like Tim Robbins is like fucking 7 feet tall and Jason Alexander is like a gnome, so they had to like film them on different steps, like 4 steps
Yeah.
apart from each other.
Yeah, it's a look. What's going on? That first Jacob's Ladder movie is still quite good. Listen to that podcast if you want to hear more about it and watch it because it's very good.
Absolutely wreck the first one. It's really, really good.
Yeah. So before we get into the discussion of Silent Hill Revelation, this very important film, Silent Hill Revelation 3D.
Revelations
Yes.
3D.
Yes, I was gonna correct you because the 3D is very relevant.
It's probably
Very
the most important part of the movie from the perspective of the people that made the movie.
Yeah, honestly, the parts of the title go Silent Hill most important, 3D second most important, Revelation not important at all. Nothing is revealed.
Revelation.
So before we get to that, just our normal plugs. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistens.podcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens, which gets you access to our Discord. And also, you can find Jess's stuff on giantbomb.com now.
Woo!
A Run to the Hills, the Silent Hill show, which is quite good.
I'm loving it. I'm loving exposing Jan to this horrible rabbit hole that I live in. I live in this rabbit hole of
Yeah.
Silent Hill garbage.
And it's one is in many ways one of the weirder ones. Like they didn't know what their vibe was yet with one. They got some of the stuff and then a lot of stuff changed after one.
As a Silent Hill neophyte, tell me, are there novelizations? I hope there are novelizations.
You know, there is a Japanese novelization of Silent Hill 1, I believe. I don't think there are any other novelizations, though. And there is the play novel of Silent Hill 1, and that's a whole other strange bag of worms that is kind of sort of a novelization because it's a visual novel version of Silent Hill 1. Kind of.
Pete, there's a pachinko machine. Does that count?
Yeah, there's probably a backstory somewhere.
There's
feel like-
always a pachinko machine.
Pachinko machines are like the polar opposite of whatever, a novelization. Like that is the
Look,
opposite.
As long as you can agree
thing.
they're both art.
Yes, they are.
It's okay. Yeah, and you can also find Jess's work on Voidburger everywhere. YouTube, Twitch, all the stuffs.
Come find me.
All right, so Silent Hill Revelation. Boy, oh boy.
Woof.
I picked this, but usually we have someone explain like the setup and what this thing is. Pete, do you want to take a stab? Jess, do you want to take a stab?
Oh God. I'll tell you what. I'll do it poorly, and then I can be corrected.
Good.
Sound good?
Okay.
Yes.
Because everything changes. So Silent Hill is a town nominally, and it's also a psychic manifestation of distress, but also a demon's nightmare zone. And our protagonist gets trapped there and she has to escape. Close?
Close.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That's good enough.
It
you know,
stars Heather Mason, who's Harry Mason's daughter. But wait, in the first movie, there were no Masons, and that's still Sean Bean. Well, you see,
Yeah.
Sean Bean's Chris De Silva
Yep.
adopted Heather, whose name is Cheryl, and renamed her Heather because they are on the run. It takes place after the first movie. They're on the run from the cult from the first movie. But wait, the cult died in the first movie. Shut up, you idiot. They're back.
They're a cult. Doesn't matter.
There was
cult.
another one. It's fine.
There were another one. There were more. That scene at the end of the first movie where all of them die. Don't worry, there were more of them. They didn't get them all. So the cult has figured out how to escape Silent Hill, but only like sometimes.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have been following Chris De Silva, a.k.a. Harry Mason, which is the main character's name from the first game. So they've basically retconned them into the names they have from the first game.
So, yeah, which is really confusing. And the reason that happened is because Harry Mason is not the protagonist of the first movie, which is based off the first game. They made a lady protagonist, and that was largely because the director or the producer, I forget who, one of those jerks, they thought it was unrealistic and that American audiences wouldn't understand a dad wanting to save his daughter as much as they would understand the maternal urge to save your daughter. So they gender swapped. They gender swapped Harry Mason into Rose Da Silva, and her husband, Chris Da Silva, is a non-existent character in the first game. You don't, not a guy, not a person. And now he's also Harry Mason. Again, they're both Harry Mason by this point.
Yes. One of them.
Also, Rose is not dead, but trapped in the other world.
Yeah, she's trapped in the other world. She shows up in the very beginning of the movie to be like, "Hey, take this baby, take your daughter back. I found a plot device from the Silent Hill games, and it let me sneak her out. Don't worry, I'm not going to explain what it is. But you need
no
to go
time to
and take care
explain.
of her.
Here's a baby.
Yeah, here's your daughter. She's going to be very confused. Take care of her. I'm peacing out. I love you forever. Never get over me."
Also, please don't come to Silent Hill. God,
Yeah.
don't come here.
It's so bad. Please don't.
This is the second time this girl has been reincarnated, and it's so hard to explain.
Yeah, so they're on the run, and we join the family, I guess Mason, the family Mason,
Yeah.
in what appears to be.
You're skipping the really funny intro where Heather is running through a carnival being chased by guys wearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 belts.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
8 belts per guy.
We do get the flashback. And does this happen in Silent Hill 3? We have not played Silent Hill 3. I know that it begins with a flashback, though.
Yeah, the Silent Hill 3 begins with a dream sequence in a amusement park. It's not quite like this dream sequence, but they took it and ran with it. And yeah, then stuff catches on fire in this version. But basically, in the game, it's just you're wandering around it's basically a preview of a later level that you do go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically put in there, I believe, rumor has it, because they wanted basically kind of almost like a demo of what the combat was going to be like. They wanted to start with combat because one of the complaints about Silent Hill 2 was that there wasn't enough combat and it was antiquated. And Resident Evil is all about shooting stuff all the time, and Silent Hill 2 is so boring. You're just walking around a lot and you don't have to shoot any of these guys. So the intro for Silent Hill, I know, right? Obviously, everyone plays Silent Hill for the combat.
Yeah, it's like playing Tetris and be like, I wish there was more combat in this Tetris game.
Yeah, it's really strange, but okay. But yeah, one of the complaints was they wanted more action quicker because Silent Hill 2 is so somber. There's a huge lead up until you even see a single guy. So they start you off bam, you like this, fuckers? Here you are. You're in a carnival sort of area. There's dogs and big scary guys, and you have a submachine gun. There you go. Are you happy now? And then it turns into she wakes up and it turns into walking around a mall for 2 hours and getting lost. But that's how the game starts.
Also, speaking of that intro,
mm-hmm.
You remember in old Hanna-Barbera cartoons where stuff would be drawn differently and you'd be like, that thing's gonna move.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where they zoom in on this stuffed rabbit's face for a few seconds, and you're like, okay,
yeah.
That rabbit's definitely gonna move.
Robbie.
But sure enough, that rabbit turns.
Yep, Robbie the rabbit with his bloody face.
Yep.
Oh my god, I forgot how stupid this intro is. I'm watching it right now. We've got Pyramid Head, the Carney. Is that a slur? Forgive me if that's a slur.
I don't know if it is.
The carnival worker.
Person.
The carnival worker, and he has piercings through his nipples, and he is he's running the carousel manually with his big buff arms.
It's a Pyramid Head powered merry-go-round.
Bicycle thing that's hooked up to his chest, and then he pedals it, and that's what makes the carousel go.
Yeah,
How do you think he got so jacked? It's by moving that merry-go-round every day.
I guess so. And there's instead of horses, there's people in horse fetish outfits
Cellophane.
being hung by
Oh, yeah.
freaking chains and stuff.
There's
But
gonna
some
be a
of them
lot
are
fetishes
horses.
here, so get used to it.
This was such a strong intro. I knew exactly the mistake I made. Like, as soon as this movie started, I just was like, well, what did I expect? And I just kept my 3D goggles on the whole time. Was just like, here we go, bitches.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that yet. The movie's in 3D,
Yep.
as the title says.
Yeah.
The 3D in the title means that they're using the third dimension. Stuff will come at you throughout the
They
film.
are misusing the third dimension.
If you thought this movie would only annoy you in 2 dimensions, you've got good news.
It's so funny watching it, on Blu-ray or whatever. I have a Blu-ray copy.
Oh, thank goodness. The highest
know.
of fidelities.
Yeah,
Are
super
there
high.
extra features?
I don't know. This is just like the rip, so I don't know. I'm not paying for this piece of trash. But yeah, it looks great in only 2 dimensions, except it's just so obvious from the way they directed the movie that every jump scare, every scene that doesn't have like, a dialogue heavy scene is like clearly shot on purpose to be the most 3D possible. Things be popping out at you constantly. Everybody's reaching for the camera, and it's just incredibly obvious.
Yeah, this film came out in 2012, post the Avatar, like 3D's back, suckers. Enjoy.
Yeah, it was really late. It was really late on
Yes.
that trend. Like,
Yeah,
why'd
and-
they even do it?
That they weren't on the cutting edge.
Well, it came out on Halloween. It was a 3D gimmick thing. Like, this has that whole, like, Krampus, we're going to release a horror movie on Christmas. Like, we're going to release a 3D popcorn movie on Halloween.
Did this do good in theaters, I wonder?
So it
$56
cost
million.
It made a lot of money.
it cost 20
$20 million
million
budget.
and it made 56. So
Yep.
it did well.
Mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel we also, like, we're going to talk about how much this movie's a mess, and I think part of what explains it is that Christoph Gans, the director of the first movie, and Roger Avery, the writer of the first movie, were originally going to work on this one. And, like, the first movie, say what you will about it, the look is right for the most part of
It's
the
better
town.
than this.
It was
Yeah.
interesting. It had
Like,
its moments.
It catches the vibe in spots. Like, they do a better job of working the gamification of it into the plot. Like, they use the monsters, I think, pretty effectively, or at least evocatively of, like, the first thing. This is kind of a mess. But you see, Christoph Gans dropped off the project, and Avery, who wrote the first one, was imprisoned for vehicular manslaughter, and then was not allowed to
Really?
write this.
Yep.
That's a twist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turns out the monster was him.
Yeah. He was drunk driving, I believe.
Yes.
And he crashed into somebody else's car, and also he killed his own passengers, I think.
Jeez.
Big,
Yeah.
weird situation. And yeah, he was in jail and could not write the second Silent Hill movie. He also did some other stuff, and I don't remember what else he's done, but he's like a fairly prolific screenwriter who has done like other pretty famous movies, and I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah,
Oh.
big deal.
They
You
probably
know,
would.
Yeah, a well-known movie.
That's a pretty good one.
You might have heard of it.
Yeah, so this movie very clearly, like in 2006, they were supposed to start working on this, but it came out in 2012, and it really started getting underway in 2010 because of the fallout of the director and the writer falling off of
Right.
the movie.
Mhm.
So just a little bit of context. If some of this stuff sounds a bit strange, it was in
Because
hell
it
for a
is.
while. Yeah.
yeah.
So we get the flashback. Heather wakes up. They're in, I think, it seems like the Northwest or something. Like it, I can't tell what town
It
they're in.
kind of feels like I don't really know. It kind of felt like the Pacific Northwest. Like I guess they did it for the fog. I don't know.
It could be
but
Pacific Northwest. It could be Massachusetts.
I think it might be Massachusetts or something, because I remember there was like some license plates you could see at some point. People were like, "Oh, Massachusetts," or something like that.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I also just like want to point out like how many jump scares in a row happen like 3 minutes into this film, because
True.
she has that dream. She wakes up screaming. Sean Bean's like, "Oh, honey, what's wrong? It's me, Boromir. Don't worry." And he, like, while consoling her, gets stabbed through the back by a Cenobite, basically. And that's also a dream. And we wake up, and then she goes back to sleep, and then we have a Pop-Tart jump scare to the next morning eating breakfast. In like the span of 20 seconds, there's 3 jump scares. It's absolutely, I'm aghast at how many they slammed into this one section of movie.
You know, good for Heather picking the good Pop-Tart, the strawberry Pop-Tart.
Oh, yeah.
Strawberry
That's the best
frosted.
one.
Classic.
So way to go there.
Point of order, though, about the location. So I'm willing to bet that whoever made the movie didn't think about this. But they drive to West Virginia in a night.
Yep.
They do. So that's what makes me think Massachusetts and not.
Yeah.
But like I said, based on the amount of thought they put into like most of this movie, could be anything.
I also want to point out. I also want to point out that Silent Hill, the game, does not take place in West Virginia. Like, Silent Hill is not in West Virginia. They put it there because of the whole thing I'm super tired of correcting as a really pedantic nerd for this shit.
Oh, you don't like the coal fire?
No, I don't like the coal fire, and Silent Hill is not based off of Centralia, Pennsylvania. The movie was based off of Centralia, Pennsylvania. Leave Centralia, Pennsylvania alone. It doesn't have anything to do with the games. That's the second worst thing Roger Avery's ever done, was bring up Centralia, Pennsylvania.
I'm hoping the first was the manslaughter.
What was the first
that
one?
That was a joke. Yep.
Okay, good. Look, I don't know. Maybe he wrote another bad movie.
Yeah, the manslaughter's way down on the list for me.
If the third one is manslaughter, that's pretty bad.
But yeah, so just to throw that out there, fuck that guy for multiple reasons, but one of the lower ranking reasons is for doing the Centralia, Pennsylvania stuff. It also caused a bunch more tourists to go there and fuck the town up even more, which is just sad.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Centralia is it's an actual abandoned ghost town where there is an actual coal fire burning underneath the town. So there's carbon monoxide there. It's bad to go there.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, the like road collapses periodically too.
It's dangerous. And there was like a couple people still living there out of pure, stubbornness, because people don't want to move from their homes. It used to be a perfectly nice town before that crazy shit happened to them in the 80s, 70s, something like that. And so yeah, like they like a lot of tourists went there and made the town even grosser by graffitiing more on the highway and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, well, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of Silent Hill, instead of going to Centralia, Pennsylvania, just buy another, I don't know, nurse like mouse pad or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do something that doesn't hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So we get the jump scares. Sean Bean actually tells her, like, okay, it's your first day of school, honey. Go enjoy. And remember, if anyone asks you anything about yourself, you say nothing, which is a very normal thing to tell your daughter. And we learn that Heather doesn't remember Silent Hill or the events of the first movie at all. She thinks that they are moving everywhere because her dad killed a guy.
Which is true. He killed a cultist that was chasing after them. And he got put into witness protection or something like that. And that's basically that's kind of from the game. That's like implied to have happened in Silent Hill 3. It's not like very out and out said outright. But there's like additional fucking information you can find that's like confirming, like, yeah, like Harry had to, like, in self-defense, he killed a cultist and they had to, like, go into witness protection. They got different last names and stuff like that. So that is actually from the game.
Okay. And like Heather, when she's on her way to school, she first like looks at a unhoused person on the side of the street, and their face turns all monstrous, Silent Hilly, and she gets tapped on the shoulder by a private, well, we don't know he's a private investigator yet, but Douglas
Gino,
Cartland, a man with a very cool jacket and hat, who's like, hey, do I know you? Could you tell me your name and where you live?
Yeah, just for no reason in particular.
Yeah. What a terrible PI.
Yeah.
He's really bad at his job.
He got the wardrobe from like old noir detective movies, and then he was like, all right, I'm all set. Gonna go harass a girl on the street.
I love that, like, outside of the video game context. Him dressed as like this old school PI is just like even stranger in like live action than it is in a video game. Because like his character design is like, they basically, copied the outfit from the game, but like the outfit from the game is like based off of the movie Angel Heart, which is a really, really good goofy horror movie. A little racist once they go to New Orleans, though. Heads up on that. Can't believe that. The 90s. Crazy. Also, Robert De Niro is in it, and he is like literally playing Satan, and he is so hammy. I just can't get enough of that. Ugh.
My grandma has things to say about Robert De Niro.
Like on a scale of 1 to Pacino in Devil's Advocate, how hammy of a devil are we talking here?
Oh, yeah. All the way up there. Like maybe past that. He is just great, and I believe his name is really funny too. His name is like Mr. Satan or something.
Oh, I love Satan. That's great. That stuff.
Oh my God.
It's like meat.
I gotta look up the name of this character. Also, Mickey Rourke was in this back when he was hot, which is crazy. Never seen him. Louis. His name. Okay, Robert De Niro's name in this is Louis Cypher. Lucifer.
Ooh, that's
Lucifer.
That's a good one.
Oh my fucking God.
Oh boy.
Great movie, and it inspired a lot of the aesthetic of Silent Hill 3 because there's a ton of amber and lots of fans and stuff like that. But yeah, that the outfit Mickey Rourke wears is this guy's outfit now in Silent Hill Revelations 3D.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Fun fact.
And my grandma's opinion of Robert De Niro is he thinks who the hell he is. You know what the hell? He thinks he's better than people. She met him.
Might be.
Him and Al Pacino once, and she said Al Pacino was very nice, and Robert De Niro was stuck up, which is very
Okay, yeah.
Can't
believe it.
imagine.
Yep, old Italian grandma. What are you gonna do?
Oh, you're Nona.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we also forgot to mention like Heather has her vest, right? She gets her vest for her birthday. The thing she wanted is the white
iconic vest.
It's weird. So like, there's a weird thing too. In this game, well, movie, I guess, and elsewhere, there's like a really weird thing around 18th birthdays. Like 18th birthdays have become this like very specific moment where like the planets align and destinies start to happen, which is strange because like 18th birthdays are just a legal fiction for the US. And there's also a creepier layer here for our young female protagonist, and 18 being age of consent, and like Silent Hill has these weird sexual overtones and undertones, and it's all just a very strange thing that the 18th birthday has come to include.
Pyramid Head breaks out that one like Romeo and Juliet card or something. It's like, look, everything I'm doing here, totally fine.
They were 14, I think.
Oh, Jesus. God.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Shakespeare was making some moves.
Oh, boy.
So,
But yeah, also like 16th birthdays, because I think like I don't think I'm not super sure actually if Silent Hill 3 takes place in and around Heather's 16th. I think she's 17 in that actually. But there's like a ton of like kind of like coming of age imagery, lots of like menstruation imagery and stuff like that.
There's definitely blood.
Lots of blood.
Yeah. Pete, are you saying that we should have more 21st birthday imagery and things? Like just grab another fiction date?
Yeah.
A lot of
like
alcohol.
Drinking all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess it's better. It's less creepy than it were like if it were the onset of puberty or something. Like, that'd be even worse.
Yes.
But it's just strange in general, I think.
Which is like, that also is, there's so many birthday things happening in Silent Hill 1 and 3. Like, there's a whole level in Silent Hill 3 where a mysterious, spooky force keeps congratulating Heather on her birthday, and it keeps getting the number wrong. Like, happy 31st birthday, happy 17th birthday, happy 7th birthday. And that's because she is a reincarnation of all these different girls. And if you add up their ages in different ways, she is 17, she is 31, like, you know, all that sort of stuff, which is interesting. Ooh, kitty. Hell yeah.
Samson, what are you doing?
Yes, new guest. Samson.
Everyone is bothering me right now. Hello, Samson.
Oh, wish I had a cat. Anyway, but yeah, in the first game, like, Alessa Oh God, we haven't even talked about Alessa yet. Jesus Christ.
We'll have to.
We'll have to. But like Alessa was burnt when she was like a kid,
12, I think.
7, and then
7.
she split her soul. She made a baby. That baby grew up to be 7. So when she was 14, the summoning spell worked or something, and they got smushed together, and so that's just a 14-year-old in the game basically. And then the end of Silent Hill 1, new baby. So that'll be 21 by the time she's 7, and by the time she's 17, that's 31. Oh God, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Oh boy. Okay. Thankfully, the movie is way simpler to understand.
They don't fuck around with that stuff. It's too confusing.
It's the same girl, at least, and this Heather, like, she's, I think, 18. Like,
18, yeah.
They pick the specific birthday, like Pete said. She goes to school. They've been moving around. She goes to her first class, and it's a classic introduce yourself to the class scene. Except
well, you get made fun of everybody.
Yeah, everyone's just a dick to her. Like, hey.
And the teacher does nothing?
Yeah,
Like,
nope,
just
just let it slide. She's like, yep, crush that new kid.
Also, this is just like something that I am always entertained by. Whenever there's a high school class in a movie, everybody is like 28 in the class. Yeah. Like, look at all these teenagers. They're all in their 20s, very obviously so. They didn't even get like young looking people for this scene.
No, they got who was around around the casting department, and they were like, yeah, you look young enough, I guess.
Who's young and in Canada? Show up.
It's like, is Degrassi around? Can we get any of them? No? All right, well.
Drake's too famous. We can't get him anymore.
How old was Kit Harrington when this was made?
You know? God.
Let me look.
Kit Harrington in 2012?
So as Gino's looking,
yeah.
Just explaining the scene, God, what's her name right now? Heather shows up, and teacher basically introduce herself, and she's like, I move a lot. I hate all of you. Don't try to be my friend. And Kit Harrington's like, ooh, I'm intrigued.
I like how you told everyone off. That was awesome.
I thought it was very funny when he was like, and then it's your turn to say something, and he's like, I can't follow that up.
That might be the best line in the whole movie.
Yeah, actually.
And since we haven't mentioned it, maybe we've mentioned it, this is Kit Harrington's first speaking moment, and I'm sure most of you know by now, he's very British. And he tries to sound American in this one and does not do a good job.
Not even close. Nope. I love it. One of my favorite things about this movie is how much people are fighting with their accents in it. And only Heather pulls it off because she's Australian and you would not know. She sounds American. She's pretty good at it. And Kit Harrington, God, it is obvious from moment one when he opens his mouth. And Sean Bean, I don't even know if he's trying.
No, Sean Bean had the same accent in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, British transplant, Chris De Silva.
Sure.
Yeah.
With his Italian last name. Very normal. But Kit Harrington, to answer your question, Pete, was a roughly 25 at the making of this film.
That's closer than I would have thought.
We call that an old 17.
Yes. Weathered 17.
Been through some shit.
He immediately just kind of starts following Heather around. So she leaves the class after, being upset. And she's in the hallway. She's got her hall pass, but she's alone. And the hallway starts getting Silent Hillified. She walks by a classroom, and she sees old footage from the first movie of Alessa getting pelted with books and called a witch. And we're kind of in the spooky, foggy Silent Hill. And the school gets dilapidated, and then it gets even more dilapidated, and we kind of get to dark Silent Hill. And there's a bound figure from the first movie, like the straitjacket monster, kind of wiggling towards her.
One of the better monsters from that movie. I thought that was a really good looking one.
Yeah, and I think that they just repurposed the footage from the first movie also.
It looks very familiar.
Looks very much the same with the same movements. And before it can get to her, Kit Harrington taps her on the shoulder and says, I'm lost for maths. Can you help me get there?
Maths. I'm lost for maths.
You know what maths are? And so they decide to leave at this point. And I think Heather starts noticing that it's the end of the school day. She's going to leave. She's going to go home. And she sees Douglas Cartland, the investigator, just kind of hanging outside her school like a great detective.
Yeah, because grown men hang outside high schools all the time in a way
I'm
that's
here to
not
pick
creepy.
up my kid.
But it's in 3D, so the fedora jumps right out at you.
I also this is a high school, right? There's a couple of little kids coming out behind her.
Yeah, there's very small children and also 25-year-old teens in quotes.
What is happening
Very
with this
weird.
place?
They
It's a
found
small
some
town.
actual high school, and then those are actual high schoolers. Is what
Yeah.
I think is happening here.
Actual 13 and 17-year-olds in the background look like babies compared to these actors.
Look, we're going to do a shoot in front of this school, and whatever happens with the kids happens with the kids.
So she's rightly freaked out of this grown-ass strange man standing outside her high school.
But he's seen her before, so it's totally normal.
Sorry, don't worry about
So
it.
she calls her dad, and her dad
Yep.
picks up on the tiniest cell phone I've ever seen in my life. You could swallow this cell phone like a
And
pill.
tells her to go to the mall where it's safe.
Yes, a very safe mall, and they're going to meet at the, Happy Burger or something.
Yeah.
It's got an appropriately weird name.
Which is from the game.
Okay, good.
Also, Sean Bean is somebody at his door, trying to get into his house. He's like, "Oh, we got to get out of here."
Yep, they found us. We need to get a new home, but, very cheap. We keep going through these homes.
There was an earlier scene where Sean Bean, after Heather left, Sean Bean, who I'm never going to call Chris, I'm just going to call him Sean Bean for the whole duration.
Good.
He goes through this little box of memories that's got the halo of the sun carved on it and stuff like that, and it's just little flashbacky moments from the first Silent Hill movie, and also a flashback from when he discovered Heather just plopped on the couch and stuff like that, and Rose just delivered her from the other world here somehow, not explained how.
She says, Rose de Silva says, "Hey, I found this object in Silent Hill, and
right?
I only got
seal
half
of
of it.
Metatron.
The seal of Metatron, I found it, and I got half of it, and that let me I could send one person back through this mirror to your house, and so I did."
I forgot
Metatron?
about that.
Metatron, by the way, real biblical figure.
Yep.
I started
An
looking
angel,
into it.
I believe.
Yep. You got farther than I did. I saw how long the Wikipedia page
Oh,
was,
yeah.
and I bailed.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of in Silent Hill 1 especially, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo at the very end of the game with different really, really obscure Greek gods, a lot of really obscure Kabbalah terminology,
Yeah,
and
your
it's
Sephiroths and stuff.
yeah, and it's just to sound cool, Japanese developers are just that's to us a very strange and exotic concept. We're gonna take these really obscure Greek gods and just throw their names around, and they don't mean anything. It's just to sound cool, just like Metatron, just to sound cool.
I really love how that's become a thing, because as someone who has played some Silent Hill games, some Final Fantasy games, and some Persona games, all of them love Metatron, Floros, Sephiroths. They all love these things, but all in different ways. The same thing. This is an object in Silent Hill. It's a weird cat monster in Persona, and it's a man with a long sword in Final Fantasy.
Love it.
Awesome. Easy to keep straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, Sean Bean, if you're going to have a box of all of the creepy things that Heather's been drawing in her sleep, maybe don't carve occult shit onto the box.
Yeah, unless Heather carved that herself while she was asleep.
Oh, man, if she was whittling in her sleep.
Yeah.
Is that the seal that they put on the wall later on? Is that the same thing?
I think
so. How would they even know what that looks like to put it on the box?
I don't remember which seal they throw around in this movie, because there's two main seals from the game.
The circles.
Yeah, the Halo of the Sun. The Halo of the Sun is the 3 circles, and the Seal of Metatron is the triangular one.
Yeah, so that's on the seal that Rose passes through the mirror.
Okay.
And then the Halo of the Sun is on the box and is scrawled on the wall in blood later on. Spoilers.
Oh my god. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, so Heather gets to the mall. There's a
Sean Bean is seemingly kidnapped at the very end of that scene, by the way, so he's not coming to the mall.
Yep, Sean Bean gets Sean Beaned and seems to be killed immediately into the movie. And Heather, she's at the mall, she's hanging out. There's a kid's birthday party happening over her shoulder, and
This
she
is
starts.
one of the most Chuck E. Cheese ass malls I've ever seen
Yeah,
in my life.
right.
There is like carnival shit everywhere. There's rides. Like, this is just wild. I've never personally been to a mall that has all of this shit in it. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is
The
just
movie
covered.
was 2012 too. This was late in the day for malls.
Mhm.
Yes.
True.
True. This is not the
R.I.P.
heyday.
malls. Yeah, I mean, it is like borderline. I don't know if you've ever been to the Palisades Mall in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I was thinking of.
But yeah, it's got like the
Close.
full carnival stuff going on inside, which is.
Mhm.
I don't know that that's common.
It normally isn't. I don't think.
No.
I mean, the Staten Island Mall doesn't have this shit in it. Although I hear they have an airsoft range now, which is really wild to
damn.
me.
Badass.
Yeah, so like this party keeps going, and then Heather starts having Silent Hill visions again. And the kids, I love that the kids go from having their faces painted in like fun, happy clown stuff to like insane clown posse. Clown
Yeah, they turn
makeup.
into juggalos, and it's the funniest shit I've ever seen in a movie.
And
And
they're
also like the balloon. The
Yeah.
balloon says "Happy Birthday, Heather," and it like slowly, ominously turns around. It says "Happy Birthday, Alessa." No,
Yeah,
threatening
and
balloon.
one of the kids
Doesn't make
trying to.
any sense if you haven't seen the previous.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, is
Like,
that the
what the hell?
actual person whose birthday it is?
The kids turn into like meat-eating, ghoulish children with blood coming out of
They
their
got
mouth.
like blood pouring down their faces.
One of the kids tries to manually do the like Silent Hill twitch,
Yeah.
and she's like 8, so she can't quite get it. But I guess they were like, that's good enough.
We'll fix it in post. They didn't
We'll-
fix it in post.
We'll put some like screen shake on it. It'll be fine.
She's
It'll
got
be
a
fine.
great Daphne.
A clown scares her. A security guard turns around. He's got a stitched up, goofy face. She like backs up into a back area of the mall, and there's just like a freaky butcher man carving some guys. Like it turns into a
I
fucking
forgot
like
about that guy.
it turns into a haunted house, like a really goofy haunted house.
I
Like
love it.
you could not miss the point of Silent Hill this hard unless
yeah.
you try, because this is so fucking not it, and it's so funny to me.
There's just so many people, and they're just like, look, we've got this guy strung up. He's got a plastic bag on his head, and we're cutting his belly fat. And then behind him, there's just a short order cook just cooking away.
Yep.
The
There
heat's
he
just
is.
too high.
He's cooking the human burgers for those kids. It's very
Look, it's a
high
living.
demand. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
she makes her
man.
way past the carnival of doofuses and finds a hallway that's seemingly abandoned. But she hears monsters and spooky sounds, and wouldn't you know it, Douglas Cartland followed her into the mall and followed her down the back hallway and is like,
He's-
look,
Great at his job.
your real name is Sharon De Silva. You're not Heather Mason. There's this cult that's after you, but I realize now that I shouldn't have been working for a cult. They're
Yeah,
bad people.
Again, like he came to this revelation pretty late. Like
This is the titular revelation in Silent Hill Revelation. Maybe the cult's bad. Should I have not taken a check from them?
And I mean,
So-
the logistics of
Yeah.
the cult escaping Silent Hill, hiring a PI.
And I love that it's a guy that's not very good at his job, which does track.
Well,
with
I mean, they
just-
had to hire the first PI they could find.
Yeah, the closest guy.
And I guess paying him in what? IOUs?
This is another confusing point for me.
Cole,
Like,
I
how
guess.
how does the cult have money? Like, what are they paying him with? How can they even like make a deal? They're all like stuck there. Some people raised in the other world, as we'll find out later, and they
Yeah.
somehow pass as normal citizens of not Canada.
And especially if you watched the first film where these people, they had real M. Night Shyamalan's The Village vibes.
Yeah,
They-
absolutely.
They were in the 1800s or the 1700s, and everyone else was in the regular times. And now they're just able to hire PIs, and the PI's like, okay, I'm gonna go find this person.
I'm
Sure.
not getting a weird vibe off of this client at all.
You seem to be bleeding from your chest wound so that you could escape Silent Hill, but fine, I'll take your money.
Funny accent for Massachusetts. Okay.
Sure. So he tells her, like, I realize now what I was doing was wrong. We need to get you out of here. I'm going to help you. Now you should trust me. And she's like, I don't think I trust you because you're still a creep. And then the Cenobite shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Cenobite a traditional Silent Hill monster?
Gonna say no. Not in the slightest. I don't know where this lady comes from. Like, nowhere. Comes from nowhere. I assume, by this point, it's 2012. Silent Hill Homecoming has come out at this point, which kind of is the goofy Halloween Horror Nights version of, Silent Hill. So I think a lot of the aesthetic choices and the gore and stuff like that might have come from or been inspired by Homecoming. But as far as monsters similar to the Cenobite lady, the closest I would say this gets to a Silent Hill thing is the missionaries in Silent Hill 3. Because they're humanoid, they're a little gross, they're kind of sharp and pointy, but I wouldn't call them Cenobites. This is very, very clearly like a Todd McFarlane-ass joint over here.
Do they have swords for arms, the missionaries?
Yeah.
Pointy.
Can opener arms?
They kind of sort of have like, what are they called? They're like tonfas, like sharp tonfas.
Oh, so it's like a stick with a little stick coming out the side of it, and
It's basically a nightstick. If you've seen a police nightstick.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's better than how I would have described it. Way to go.
This is also the most 3D of the 3D scenes. Everything is pointing at you and flying at you, and this whole attack sequence with the Cenobite is absolutely hilarious. Douglas's fingers fall off in slow motion toward the camera. It's like you can touch them. They're right there.
Yeah. He can't, though.
Nope. His touching days are over.
Em, did you have something to say about this man's hands?
No, I just wanted to point out the 3D effect on the fingers and the, like, when she's, like, cutting through the grate on top of the elevator, that's all in 3D, and then she, like, points the thing in there really threateningly, and then he gets pulled up. Yeah, and then he gets pulled through the hole in the ceiling, and then he dies somehow, and there's no explanation as to why, or why would she go for the random guy who is unrelated to everything?
Snitches get stitches.
The one they hired, too.
Yeah, they literally, okay, spoilers for the end of this movie, but you find out that the cult is the one who hired him, and then this is the leader of the cult? So
yeah, that's confusing. Why is she here? Like, she's too important to be here, right? Like,
why can she go sicko mode at will?
Yeah, why just do this outside of Silent Hill? Why come to a random mall where you guess she took the bus, just
hey guys.
So like I had a question about this part too.
Her excuse is she was going to a convention.
Only one. Everything else made perfect sense to me. I had one question though.
Okay.
So like it seems like Silent Hill operates on Freddy Krueger logic. Like if you die in Silent Hill, you die for real. Because later you see the police wheeling his body out on a gurney. Mm-hmm. But I was under the impression that Silent Hill reality is its own reality distinct from ours. So wouldn't his body stay there?
So there are many schools of thought.
So you see Vincent, Kit Harrington's character Vincent says that his grandpa, Malcolm McDowell, has theories about multiple worlds, and maybe he got stabbed in Silent Hill but bled out in the mall.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing.
Oh God.
Jess, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
He isn't in Silent Hill right now, so he's just in this random mall, and it wasn't even a spooky mall. It was just the regular ass mall that this scary monster was in. So it seems as though he just died.
I thought it was the Otherworld mall.
So here's the problem.
Yes.
Here's
only one.
Some problems. Okay, so Silent Hill. It's confusing. the nature of Silent Hill is an oft debated topic in the fandom. There are two general schools of thought. There's the idea that, there's reality, and as you go through reality, there are little pockets that change around you. Your perception of reality changes. However, there are instances where people, like, for example, Harry Mason and Sybil, will follow each other to the same place, and then Harry will disappear from Sybil's perspective. So I think that you physically are transported to a different level of reality that's kind of like underneath the one you're at. And there's like a very wishy-washy gradient between these areas where there's the foggy world where it's kind of like neither here nor there. But that being said, that was happening to Harry while he was in Silent Hill, which was currently being affected by Alessa's spooky powers, right?
Yeah.
Here's the problem with this movie. They're not in Silent Hill right now. They're at the mall somewhere else in, I don't know, Massachusetts or wherever we arbitrarily decided this takes place in, not Canada. So that's an issue because when Heather in the games was having these spooky instances happening to her in the mall, for example, where this was not Silent Hill she lived in, that stuff was happening around her because she was pregnant with a god. That the whole pregnancy subplot is not really a thing at all in the movies. Despite adding a, child abuse rape plot, which is completely unnecessary to add to an already fucked up story. But the reason that this stuff was happening to Heather outside of Silent Hill was because she was this thing within her that has been reincarnated with her is influencing stuff around her. Heather in the movie does not have this god fetus within her, so there's no reason this should be happening.
Except, the movie seems to go with, you are part Alessa. You're part of Alessa's soul. And because she's got the spooky juice, you kind of do too. And so Silent Hill follows you.
Okay.
That seems to be the situation.
Seems to be what they're going with. What Kit Harrington believes. What normal American boy Kit Harrington seems to believe.
But it's just not as cool as having a evil fetus in you that you can abort later, and then it's like, hey, happily ever after. This shit's never gonna happen to me again. The problem's gone.
So presumably, I don't think I should try to parse this, but if Heather's got the spooky juice, she could create a localized bubble of Silent Hill.
Yeah.
So as P.I. is killed, he's in bubble. Heather moves away from P.I. Bubble recedes with her, leaving his dead corpse exposed in real world.
That's what I'm wondering here.
That's
basically.
what I'm thinking. Okay. That's the logistics the movie wants us to believe, I think.
Gotcha. Well, look, the movie has no credibility with me, but let's run with it. So we're not dying.
Yes.
So she escapes, and as soon as she leaves the mall, she hits a random door, and she's outside. She runs into two people who seem to think they're in CSI. And not the movie they're in. So they're like, hey, you need to get out of here. And they find Vincent and check his wallet. Where's he from? Does he have any family?
I love that she's not a
right
suspect.
in front of everybody.
She's not a suspect. She just came out of the door they are
They
monitoring.
assume that she snuck around the police line instead of coming out of the crime scene.
They
They're
also
very bad at their
specifically cordoned off that one door she came out of. And not the main entrance, which is 20 feet away, which is very strange.
Can I also circle back to something? I don't know if I'm doing this out of order or not, but when Dad disappears,
yes,
the two police officers walk in and they see on the wall written, "Come to Silent Hill," with the halo of the sun.
I think.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
that's the next. Yeah. That's one of the next scenes. Yeah.
Well, I'm jumping ahead, but because this is my favorite line in the whole movie.
It's the best. Yeah.
They look at the halo of the sun on the wall, a very intricate, clearly occult symbol, and the detective turns to the other one and goes, "That a gang sign?" The Crips just showed up.
Just doing blood rituals. Damn.
What? It's my first day. I've never done this before. What? I'm just trying to be helpful.
Pretty sure it's a gang.
Yeah, so I want to watch the police procedural starring those two.
Yeah.
I want them finding more
cops.
and more. Yeah, just finding more and more occult Silent Hill shit, and they're like, these drugs, man, they mess people up.
It's like he must be on bath salts. Oh, that person with no arms shooting acid from the chest. Yeah, man, bath salts.
I've never seen anything like this in all my years of my 10 years of policing. We're going to have to tell the commissioner.
They had a lot of lines, and I thought they were going to be like, oh, maybe this is one of the game tie-ins. Like, maybe this is a guy from one of the games. They're just there.
They're just guys.
They're gone forever, right?
They have one scene. I don't think they're named.
They have two. I wish that they were just following Heather and Victor trying to, like, solve crimes on the way.
Yeah, like in the first movie, there was also that cop character.
Officer Gucci, yeah.
Yeah, he does not show up at all, and he seemed like he was going to be relevant as well.
Yeah, he kind of fucks off halfway through that movie, doesn't he?
He does. He's like, I had my hands burned. Don't ask me questions about Silent Hill ever again.
I'm just never going to show up again. By the way, that was a guy who was a cultist, and he escaped Silent Hill perfectly fine.
Also,
so that fucks up the plot of this movie quite a bit for being like, we can't escape unless we do some fucked up ritual stuff, and then it's only for a little bit of time, and all
on the
this garbage.
Of Officer Gucci.
Yeah,
great name,
by the way. So the ritual in Silent Hill 1 takes place 30 years before the events of Silent Hill 1
and
movie.
He looks great, doesn't he?
He is exactly the same. They didn't pick a different actor. They didn't use any makeups or anything. They were just like, 30 years, Gucci looks the same.
I love it. And it's so funny because if they didn't make it 30 years and they made it the correct amount of time, 7 years, this would have been fine. He wouldn't be 30 years older and be the same fucking looking guy. They had to fuck with it.
It's what occult magic can do for you.
Yeah, like that's been like the fan like, waving it off sort of opinion, like, Silent Hill, he's affected by it, it's magic or something. It's like, what? Okay, fine, but what if they just wrote the movie bad? What if that's the theory? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think it's because they wrote the movie bad.
Come on. Officer Gucci, by the way, is an incredibly, incredibly minor character in Silent Hill 1 that is mentioned once.
Awesome. I love just the sheer number of Italian last names and not a single person with a fucking accent. Just British people, random Americans.
And you got Gucci, you got Da Silva here, and also like you've got Gillespie, which is a Scottish as hell name, right?
Yeah.
And then Alessa, which is like maybe Italian first name. It's Italian adjacent at least.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Some interesting.
Her mom's Dahlia too. Is that Italian?
Dahlia. It's a flower.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a flower.
Dahlia Gillespie. Making a pasta.
Yes, exactly.
You don't.
I don't
like
take care of my
Sean
girl.
Bean's Italian accent that he's doing a very good job with.
Speaking of accents, we're going back now. Kit Harrington has found, like, he immediately finds Heather outside of the mall, and he's like, "Hey, they found a body. Hear about that?" And she's like, "I need to go home." Right? And he's like, "I'll walk you home." And she's like, "I'd rather you didn't." And he's like, "I will anyway." She starts seeing like cultists on the train platform, just Cenobite looking cultists looking at her all creepy. And she's like,
again,
you see
just
them?
So many belts.
Like, you see them? And Kit Harrington's like, "No, I don't see them." But where do you live though? Why don't you show me?
Just tell me that.
So she's like, "Fine,
you can trust me.
home."
I wear one belt, not 8.
Yes. He walks her home. She finds the door unlocked. She finds the bloody, halo. She finds.
Is this the scene where they're on the bus though? Yeah, they have a scene on the bus with the funniest, terrible dialogue ever, where he is fighting his accent so bad, and he says like, "You're kind of fucked up, but I like you in a goofy, cute way," or something.
Yeah. Yes. It's just normal teenage flirtations. She immediately falls for him.
Also, there's a weird guy that has a Robbie the Rabbit plush that he's unboxing on the bus.
Yeah, and there's a guy who's just like laughing to himself as well, just kind of staring at them, making faces.
to like kind of recreate the Jacob's Ladder subway
Yeah.
scene, but it
Yeah.
does not have the chutzpah. It's just not
That
the
is
same.
exactly what I thought of during this scene. I was like, oh, this is very Jacob's Ladder of them.
The real
And then-
terror is public transit.
Yeah, just puts that one away. Not gonna
Oh.
address that again.
God.
Yeah, this movie has a weird attitude towards, I guess like derelicts is a bad term, of like people who are on the outskirts of society, who are struggling.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Like the homeless person at the beginning, they Silent Hill his face up. Then they imply this
Well,
man on the bus.
Do you remember the line that Douglas says about the
Yeah.
man?
It's basically
So-
like, don't talk to these guys. Like
Well,
they're
Cheryl's like,
You
oh,
can't
sorry.
help them or something.
Yeah, he's like, some people are beyond help. Heather's like, I was thinking I might
Damn,
help
okay.
him. Like, if he needs anything, he's like, some people are beyond help.
Damn, dude.
Give me
Okay.
your address.
It's a very, it's a
I'm very good at
very
my job.
aggressive political statement right at the beginning of this movie.
It is. And then the man on the bus who clearly is in some sort of mental distress. And I'm like, he's probably a cultist too. Let's just ignore him for a while.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
Oh
let's
my
let's
God.
go back to where the monsters are, actual monsters and not just this movie making people in society out to be
Mhm.
monsters.
They tried to do Jacob's Ladder and did not take the actual lesson away from Jacob's Ladder, because
Yes.
it's like Jacob's Ladder used like real amputees and stuff like that in like certain scenes, and that were very obviously scary, but it was to kind of drive home the horror of Vietnam. Like it wasn't like, gee, the homeless and those without limbs, they're monsters. Like that's not the lesson, that's not the angle they were going for there, but great.
Jacob processing the trauma of his actual experience instead of homeless people scary.
Homeless people scary. Hollywood agrees. Homeless people scary.
Yeah, so like she gets home, she finds the box with the carving of the halo on it. The box just has a bunch of
fucking-
spooky drawings and concept art.
The wall with Come to
wall.
Silent Hill and the little crappy Halo of the Sun is one of the funniest parts of this movie. This is a comedy movie, really, when it comes down to
is.
it. But I think the font that this cultist went with to to say Come to Silent Hill, it is fucking Comic Sans adjacent, and it is the least threatening way to spell anything in blood is to use this like Comic Sans ass font. It's just intrinsically hilarious.
I wish that they had gone with cursive or maybe like the sick S for Silent Hill.
Is this a gang sign?
Yeah. What does this mean?
Oh
Yeah,
my
so
god.
She also
Make
finds a
that.
gun.
mm-hmm.
Her cool dad had a gun underneath the occult stuff. And so they decide, let's go to Silent Hill. I know my dad said don't, but I'm going to do it anyway. And Vincent, you got a car, right? And he's like, sure, I'm going to drop everything. I mean, I was just in school for the first time today, and I just met you, but let's drop everything.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy.
Let's go to
But my
Silent
dad
go
got
to Silent
kidnapped. Let's go to Silent Hill, maybe.
So they drive to Silent Hill, and they have a moment in the car,
In
and
one
then
night.
Kit says, "I need rest," and they stop at the motel. And my only thought before they went to the motel room was, how many beds are going to be in this motel?
Mm,
I was so
mhm.
scared, right?
Right?
I was
Like,
oh
did
no.
Kit go to the front desk and be like, we just need one queen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
But
fine.
nope, 2 twin beds. Kit is a gentleman.
He's a
At least we
gent.
think so.
One queen for my queen, please. So
I
they get
also-
into the room.
I also love this. They're kind of ribbing on the scene in Silent Hill 3 where so when she goes to Silent Hill, because spoiler alert, in the game her dad fucking dies and is killed by the cult, and they're like, yeah, go to Silent Hill, fucking fight us, idiot. And she's like, okay, I will fall for this trap. She gets driven to Silent Hill by Douglas.
Oh.
And
Private Eye.
who is alive. Yes, he does not die. He's alive. He helps her because, yeah, he does like figure out like these cult people want me to find you. I made a mistake. I didn't realize that they wanted to kill you.
It's a big oopsie.
Big oopsie. So he does actually help her, drives her to Silent Hill, offers, to investigate the cult with her and try to figure out where they are so that she can get her revenge. And because he takes responsibility for like, your dad died because of me. I should not have helped them. I'm so fucking sorry. But they have this big scene in the car where she is remembering because she does over time remember a bit more about her past, and she does find her dad's notebook detailing all the stuff that went down in Silent Hill. So it's basically ribbing on that same scene, but in a way more a way more movie way. I don't know. There's not a lot of emotion in this scene. Whereas like in the game, it's like, this is really sad. Like her dad tried to protect her from this horrible stuff that happened. And he was such a great dad and stuff like that. Since Sean Bean is just missing and presumed alive, which he is, there's no like emotional resonance to this scene. It's just explaining stuff to the audience. So good job, movie. You did this.
And the scene in the hotel room, Kit's accent is bad.
It's so
the whole
bad.
movie.
It's
But
so bad.
It is at its worst in the hotel room. Like the hotel room, the audio quality of the hotel room scene is worse than other scenes in the movie. It seems like for whatever reason they couldn't get a boom mic close to people.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Kit, he just completely breaks accent at least 2 or 3 times. And I feel I should bring this up now. Silent Hill's in West Virginia, right?
In the movies, yes.
In the movie.
Yes.
According to the movie logic, Kit is a young boy who's been born and raised in West Virginia. And he's come out with this accent.
Yep.
You're right. I didn't even consider that part.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. So he decides, like, at first, he's like, we should get some rest.
Like, real quick, I want to point out that there is a red shoe decoration.
Yes.
And that is
so
a very
confused.
out of place reference to a puzzle in Silent Hill 3 that does not need to be here at all. It's just distracting. Like, the worst time for fan service. Like, hey, here's a shoe. It's going to confuse the fuck out of the audience.
It
People
was
love
such
it.
it was such a strange thing. I paused to be like, why is that there? Is that a decoration?
A sexy red high heel. Okay.
It's so weird.
You want the lover's suite.
With two
the one
twin
with 2 beds.
And one high heel, you know what to do with it.
In case you wear out one of the beds and you need to move to the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He starts telling her, like, at first he's like, let's just go, let's get some rest. And then Heather's like, nah, we're going to Silent Hill. And Kit's like, okay. So I'm in the cult. And then he shows off his abs and his sweet scar, his occult scar on his
he's
abs.
like, he's detailing that, like, you know, he's in the cult and the only way you can escape from Silent Hill if you're in that cult is through, you know, a ritual. And he does this like the funny, like his accent is going all over the place here. He does the funniest like pull up of his shirt where he's like, oh, I'm so ashamed and so tortured. And it's just like this hilariously huge, like fresh looking wound of the halo of the sun. And it's not even bandaged or anything. And it's like,
I've
so
been
is he
bleeding
like,
this whole time.
yeah, is he going to school and like bleeding through his school shirts like in the middle of class in an occult pattern? I just love this scene. It's so dumb.
Yeah, dude really worked fast. I feel like it seems like he didn't have much time out of there, but he found her, he drove up to Massachusetts, convinced her to come back. He's really an all-star of the cult.
And he's like wimping out now.
Yeah.
You spent, you know, 17 or 18 years of your life being completely indoctrinated by this cult, and you feel bad about it now?
I mean, he talked to her for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Crazy.
I know that trying to understand like the reasons anything happens in this movie is a fraud process. Did anyone else think this was like a little soon for this reveal? Or is
absolutely.
that just me?
Yeah.
We need to get to Silent Hill for the back half of this movie, so
yeah,
they move
like,
fast.
It is.
I don't.
The
seemed like
pacing of the events of this movie are wild. Like, I don't know who was thinking what when they paced out this movie, because especially like, you know, the whole situation with Douglas is like, who's this guy, what's he about, oh, he's giving me some information, dead. And he's a guy that like is persistent through the game and is a pretty okay character, and it's just like, why are you killing this guy? This is stupid to do, and it's stupid to do it now. He's just some guy, like, I don't care. Like,
is Kit in the game?
Oh
yeah,
God.
I was wondering
yes
about
and
that
no.
too.
So Vincent, oh Jesus Christ, they fucked up this guy. So
Are his abs better or worse?
non-existent. So Vincent in the game is a creepy, smug motherfucker that everyone hates, unless you are horny for really smug theater kid guys. But he is a big he's just a fucking wiener of a dude. He gloats all the time in front of Heather about like, I have so much information. Don't you wish you knew everything I knew? And she's like, not really. Who are you? Fuck off. Don't talk about my dad like this. Like, she's so cool in the game, and she's so nothing in this movie. But Vincent is one of the cult leaders that works with Claudia, who we've not met yet in the movie. But yeah, they're like just two people that run the cult. They have disagreements about whether or not we should bring about the apocalypse, basically. Basically, Claudia wants to hasten the spooky apocalypse because the situation with Alessa didn't work out to hasten the spooky apocalypse. Meanwhile, Vincent is a guy who likes the pleasures of this world. He likes money. He likes power. He's just like, he believes in the cult stuff, but he's like, let's not rush the apocalypse. We got it pretty sweet here. Why would we want to,
so
destroy
many drugs to do, so much money to have.
Like, why would we fuck this shit up? We got this nice like business going, got some money, like, so he's just like this slimy guy that is not a love interest and is not the same age as Heather and is not Kit Harrington and doesn't have an accent either. And he's just a real scummy, slimy guy. So making him into the hunka-dunka Kit Harrington love interest was one of the strangest decisions made in this movie.
So he's not Claudia's son in the game? Okay.
No. Nope, he's not. And also Claudia is not blood related to Dahlia.
Okay. And Kit at this point has talked about his grandpa, Leonard, who believes that there are
Leonard's in this.
So we're going to get to him, but that's a little foreshadowing for you. A little tease about Malcolm McDowell.
Screaming in the background.
So they're in the hotel room. He shows her his sweet body scar, his sweet bleeding wound. And then the room starts to go spooky. It goes all dark Silent Hill. Sawface Cenobite monster shows up and punches Kit Harrington in the head.
Which is funny because I think that's his mom punching him in the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that his mom?
Yeah, and she drags him away into Silent Hill. And Heather is like, okay, I lost a cult man. I've lost my dad. They're in Silent Hill. Let's go. And so she makes her way into Silent Hill, and it immediately goes all foggy. And I swear it looks to me like they have green screened the Heather from this movie onto the set, onto like B-roll of the old movie's set, because they only use this set once. She's not walking around it, navigating like the streets like Rose does in the first movie. And it all looks like the first movie for only like 5 minutes. And they also CGI cultists into like the windows of the apartments and stuff over the shops in the town. And they are like, they didn't even Photoshop like, it seemed like they used CGI to make those people specifically instead of just doing weird green screen stuff. So
or they like, I don't know, like they CGI'd their faces to pop out better because there's fog and there's also glare from the windows and stuff like that. So I think they just like,
really bad.
It's so strange.
They look really plastic, and I imagine that that's what they did here to keep the budget down. You can really see where the dollars didn't go. In this movie. And it's definitely in sets. So she wanders around for like half a minute until she finds Dahlia Gillespie, the same woman who played her in the first movie.
And not the same outfit though. She has a new fit, and this season's look is lace, everybody.
Yeah, she looks a lot better in this movie. Her hair looks better too.
She took a shower between these two movies. Good for her.
She scrounged up some makeup and perhaps shampoo.
Yeah,
she was like basically a rat lady, like not even a cat, like a rat lady in the first movie. She looked like so fucked up, and now she's she's serving looks now. Good for her.
Yeah, look, we learn from her. Well, she basically does the same dump of knowledge that happens towards the end of the first movie, where it's just like Alessa Gillespie and the fire, and then this stuff happened, and they start reusing all of the like frickin' scenes from the first movie. When Dahlia's talking, they just straight up, here's some footage of Alessa being burned, here's the footage of Gucci Mane, here's the footage of the cult getting burned down, all that stuff. It's incredible.
This isn't a long film.
No.
It's like 90 minutes at most.
Like
Mhm.
10 minutes of this film are from the last film.
Yeah. hmm
We're at the halfway point at this point, by the way.
Yep. So
Yeah,
much
And
has
we
happened.
just got to Silent Hill.
Yeah, so they truly reduce, reuse, recycle on this. And then as Dahlia explains what's going on, she's like, yo, it's about to get dark. You should get out of here. Go inside. It's safer inside. And then they cut to literally the same air raid footage from the first film to show the air raid siren going off. She goes inside. She's in a building of some kind. There's a birthday
It is
cake.
not safer.
Yeah, there's a
It
creepy
is
birthday cake.
also wild that like Dahlia doesn't seem she seems a lot less crazy than she was in the first movie.
Yes.
Because
Less
like
cryptic.
in the first movie she was also like, you know, she saw like the locket of Sharon, her name is in that movie instead of Cheryl. And she's like, oh, mine, my child. Like, how come she doesn't recognize Heather? That's still the same girl, just grown
good
up.
point.
Like, wouldn't she
Just
freak out and then be like, oh my God, it's you, and like hug her and scare the hell out of Heather or something like that, you know?
And she
Her
was
hair
like,
is
oh,
short
you're
and
her.
blonde, though. You know?
Yeah. It's hard to tell with the dye job, you know.
Mhm.
But her roots are showing. She needs to re-dye it.
You know, it's edgy.
Yeah, so like she gets inside, she wanders around a little bit, and then I guess this building that she walked into that seemed to be an apartment building opens up into a warehouse somehow or something.
Yeah, full of mannequins.
Full of mannequins.
Mannequin storage warehouse.
Yes, just very, very normal industry in Silent Hill, the mannequin creation industry. She finds a naked lady on
Just,
a table.
yeah, can I just, there's one thing I really want to say about this part, too.
Please do.
Say what you will about this movie, and there's a lot to be said about it, but the camera work in this particular scene is just impeccable. So they find this naked woman on a slab, and they start.
She's cold.
She's very cold.
Yeah.
They start panning up her legs with the camera, and they get pretty far up her thighs. And your first thought, well, my first thought at least is like, how high are they going to go?
Mm-hmm.
And jump cut to reaction shot from
From Heather.
From Heather,
Heather
and then
Sharon.
jump cut again to the naked woman on the slab, just in time
Just in time.
to get
Phew.
some boot shots.
Mhm.
It was
Just-
close. We almost got full frontal. That was a close one, everybody.
Just incredible camera work.
And
from
while
Six
this is
O'Clock.
happening, she's becoming mannequinified.
She is turning into plastic.
Because that's a thing that just happens in Silent Hill sometimes, I guess.
No, it isn't. It isn't. So this is based off of a single room in Silent Hill 3 where this does not happen. But it is a single storage room, and it does have a couple mannequins, and it is not a warehouse. But you know, the game is playing with you because it knows you are already predisposed to being nervous around mannequins because of Silent Hill 2 having mannequin monsters. So there is like a full like upper bust with a head, a mannequin on one end of this little it's basically like a U-shaped little storage room because it's like divided by like storage shelves. So you see that and you can comment on it and be like, oh, a mannequin feels like it's watching me or something. And you go around the other end and it's like, oh, I found some bullets. Oh, there's like a health drink back here. Cool. And once you pick those up, you hear like a yelp and a slicing noise and like a thud. And you're just like, what the fuck was that? And so you kind of like spookily, like you're like, oh God, you go around the corner and you see that mannequin and its head is chopped off. It's on the ground and there's blood, like as if it was a person's whose head got chopped off. There's blood where the cut was. And that's all that happens in that room. It's very effective. It's pretty fucking scary the first time it happens. And it's very memorable. They took that classy ass segment and made it into this
10-minute scene where there's this naked lady, she gets mannequinified and is like, run. And then Heather hears like screaming of another girl, and she walks over to what can only be described as a plastic wrap spider web.
Saran wrap cocoon of spider web stuff. Yeah.
So she frees this first girl, and the girl's like, we need to get out of here. And Heather's like, why?
Why?
As if something's
Coming.
What do you mean, why?
Why?
Look,
It's-
people turn to mannequins all the time.
Why?
It's a very normal cause of death.
Oh.
Because this giant mannequin spider creature starts unfurling from the center of this web, and it has
This
it's
thing.
got arms for legs.
This thing is goofy fun. This thing is stupid as hell. I can't even be mad. It's so funny. It's got so many different heads. Some of them are split. They're like, it's just a pile of legs and arms being used as like, spider legs. It's just a fucking mess. And it was like clearly designed to be the here's the 3D segment of this part of the movie, because all these heads come right out and look around the theater and yell at you and stuff. It's so fucking dumb.
It also has the classic double mouth from Alien,
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
which an excellent move for 3D. Oh, one mouth, scary, second mouth right at
Oh,
you.
multiple mouths.
No.
Off
and-
of the woman who turns into a mannequin and then that screams in your face. And then it uses that to like chase you around, I guess.
More
I
heads.
don't know.
More heads, more
Just
better.
More heads.
I feel like
Yes.
this is the part where they were like, oh, the Silent Hill game had this really interesting sort of psychosexual energy that like had to do with his dead wife and his like repressed desires and his guilt all melded together. And they were like, we should have some weird sort of psychosexual moments. And they were like, mannequin spider, and everybody high-fived. And
Yeah.
That's as far as they went.
And it's
naked
gonna-
lady, mannequin spider.
And it's gonna
Yes.
yell at the people in the theater.
Mission accomplished.
Right out at them. It's like the boobs are right in front of you. Yeah, like, I think... So Silent Hill 2 has a bunch of that psychosexual stuff because the person who's being tortured by Silent Hill is James Sunderland, horny piece of shit.
Horny piece of
sucks.
shit. Sad, horny piece of shit, man.
Yes.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of the psychosexual stuff is kind of an indictment of him. It is his personal hell. Heather, that's not her hang-up.
No.
So it makes way less sense in this movie, and I assume just the game does not have weird psychosexual stuff to the level that Harry's does. I mean, James does.
How sexy are the nurses? I
They
guess is the
they
question.
they are a little sexy. They're not as sexy as 2, but they're very similar models. Their heads are a lot weirder looking, though, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But they're still kind of skin tight, those outfits a little bit. And I think that was just because people liked those nurses so much in the second one. It would have been like a downgrade not to have sexy nurses in the third one. And also the fact that concept artist Masahiro Ito is a very horny Japanese man. Don't look up his personal art. Good Lord. But yeah, so it's a mix of those things. But besides that, like, yeah, there's like no mention of like sex at all in Silent Hill 3. It is just like birthing imagery, menstruation imagery, and stuff like that. That being said, though, Silent Hill 3 was not approached with the same symbolic finesse as Silent Hill 2, because it was just kind of like, well, here's the cash-in sequel. But that being said, it still did a lot of interesting things that are mysterious enough that people were like, wow, this must mean stuff. But a lot of the monsters and choices were just like a thing that looked cool at the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, similar to 1, where a lot of the monsters are just like, this looks creepy. Less like, here's the inner turmoil of the main character.
Well, a lot of the stuff from Silent Hill 1 is stuff that Alessa was into. Like, all the dogs show up a lot because she was afraid of dogs, apparently. Like, this is all junk that you learn in, like, outside of the game, unfortunately. Like, this is all stuff that you can read about in like Book of Lost Memories, which is like a big like tome of like Silent Hill creator commentary of the first 3 games. It's really cool. Fans translated it, and it's well translated for the most part. So there's like a lot of creator commentary on that sort of stuff, and it all basically boils down to like, well, Alessa read Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, and that's why there's like pterodactyl monsters that swoop around in the town and stuff like that. And like these bugs show up because she collected, butterflies and stuff like that. So it's not like deep, but it's like this has something to do with the character and their likes and dislikes and fears. And like Silent Hill 3 kind of is like, whose fears? What's this? What are these big 12-foot tall, goofy guys with big hands going around the mall. What does that mean? So it's not nearly as like, I don't know, precise, I guess.
I'm glad that the film captured that.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
its giant mannequin spider monster.
Yeah, totally.
So like Heather, this girl who she saves from the cellophane, she has one line. Heather's like, "How'd you get here?" And she's like, "I just took a wrong turn."
Doesn't she ask her name? Isn't she like named for some reason?
Oh, right, she does have a name. She does have a name really quickly.
They name this girl, and I'm just like, who is this? Like, as a fan watching this in the movie, I'm like, who is this? We know her name, and then she gets immediately killed. And again, kudos to the batshit like pacing of this movie. Why would you introduce a character, tell us her name, kill her immediately, and leave us all confused?
I took a wrong turn, got lost in the fog.
And like, what's the point of this girl? Like,
to die.
Like, she doesn't impart any information. There's no reason to, like, we already know the mannequin monster is fucked up and scary. We don't need somebody to physically die because of it. We know, like, it's just the narratively pointless character altogether. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I really love. Oh, go ahead, Em.
I'm just like, we don't even see what the mannequin monster like does to you when it kills you. So it's not like it's like, oh, here's what would happen if it caught her. It's just she beefs it immediately.
Just gets dragged out of the pipe they were crawling in.
And then Heather is like, I guess I'm not going back. It's
Suki's dead.
Fuck that.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's a
nice
real
to meet
like
your new friend.
Yeah, if you're gonna go in the pipe, go in first.
Yeah.
That's the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut back to now we get to see Claudia, who's talking to her son, who's like, "Good work getting Heather to Silent Hill, but you've been tainted by your experience outside of Silent Hill. We need to make you well.
But by
Send
the
him
way,
to the asylum."
By the way, they show that Sean Bean's alive.
Yes,
in this
and he's
scene?
in a monster's crotch.
And
Sean
he
Bean's
is
alive,
he is-
attached to a fucking, what is this?
It is just a statue of Valtiel from Silent Hill 3, who is not a god, not anything. He's something, but he's not a god. And why would they make a beautiful fiberglass sculpture out of it? Clearly designed by whoever makes the sets for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. It's so out of place. Why is this made like this? Why is this fiberglass? Do they have a fiberglass smith in the town?
And Sean Bean is chained to its crotch.
Yeah, he's
just
like
stuck underneath it.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
Gooch.
And Carrie-Anne Moss is here playing Claudia of all people.
White wig.
A very bad wig.
And a lot of powder. And so like the aesthetic difference between, so she's supposed to be the sister of the big bad from the first movie.
Christabella.
But like the first movie people, like I said, are like the Village. And Claudia, is like into leather and belts and straps. And where did we get the materials?
They got cows here?
These clothes.
Spooky
like,
cows?
are they skinning the monsters? I want white leather.
I also like
the
relationships between these characters have gotten so fucked up because Christabella is not a character from the games, but is functionally, her role is Dahlia.
Yep.
So in Silent Hill 1, Dahlia Gillespie is just a bad person. She is a bad mom. She is a cult leader. She does not love her daughter. She loves her fucked up god more than anything else. And I don't know why they split this character in two for the movie. Because like Alessa, because they couldn't have just a bad mom character for some reason. I don't know why they did this. They made Dahlia sympathetic and they turned the actual character traits of Dahlia into a totally new character, Christabella. So here we have Claudia, who is related to Christabella, who is functionally Dahlia, but in the games, Claudia and Dahlia are not related. They're in the same cult, but they're not related to each other. She used to be friends with Alessa growing up.
Well, you see, no one would believe that a father would go save her daughter from the town, and no one would believe that a mother would burn her child alive for her god.
Yeah, would be bad.
Yeah, so we see this Claudia, not a good mom. She sends her son to the asylum. Heather finds out
I'll
that her son
fix,
is
I'll
in the
fix
asylum?
it. I'll send him to horny jail.
Yes. So Heather finds her way to the asylum. I forget who does she find out that he's in the asylum from? Someone.
She
I don't know.
she sees the people dragging him, right?
Oh, okay. She sees him being dragged there.
Yeah, on the gurney or whatever.
She
They're just
goes into the asylum because she's like, oh, Kit Harrington's grandfather is here.
Yeah,
I
she's
better
looking
go
for
talk
Right.
to him.
Leonard's there, and
Yeah.
Leonard has the second half of the seal of Metatron that she needs, and she knows that because Kit Harrington said it.
Mhm.
So when Heather gets to the asylum, she walks in, and at the very entrance, so first she needs to find where the hell Leonard is, and wouldn't you know it, this creepy asylum, which is flickering, lights everywhere, spooky shit, disheveled as hell, great filing system. Like they've got pristine manila envelopes with forms, like they've been keeping notes, like Leonard made progress today. You know, it's incredible. Like clearly written, Leonard, he's in this cell. She goes to the keys, pulls a key off of the wall.
These keys
and
are
then-
hilarious and huge and video gamey, and I love them.
Yes. And then like a creepy monster like comes out who seems to be like a patient but with weird Silent Hill face and a very elongated body, like comes at her and tries to eat her, and then she shoots it in the head. So my question is, when you go, someone's job is to work at this asylum, right?
Allegedly. Presumably.
Someone's sitting there writing down these notes, getting attacked by monsters intermittently. Is that what we're supposed to understand? Because the society is supposedly functional inside of Silent Hill in this movie. They are using the asylum.
I have so many questions about this Silent Hill society because it's not a thing in the games, and it's for a good reason.
No.
There's no way it could function.
No.
No food in this world, basically. What are you eating? What are you doing?
Yeah, who's
How are you
feeding
living?
Leonard?
Like, how in the world can people live in this place? It's so funny. And the fact that Vincent is from here and grew up here, how has he ever, like, brushed his teeth or taken a shower or had enough food to grow into a handsome, strapping young Kit Harrington? It's impossible. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And it's so funny.
It's all he's ever known.
Do you think they get tired of these like sexy nurses? Like, oh, there they go again.
Oh, God
damn
it.
Another day with these nurses romping around being all hot.
I don't remember if the scene with Kit Harrington being dragged into the operating theater. No, that happens a little bit after she finds Leonard, I think.
Yeah.
But like the notion that someone's job is to sit at the front desk at the asylum and take notes and like admit new patients is hilarious.
And occasionally wheel somebody into a room to be scared by sexy nurses.
Yeah.
Was this an execution? Was that their goal? Like to kill Kit Harrington via sexy nurse?
I guess
Death
we
by
can
1,000
discuss that.
sexy nurse cuts?
Let's discuss that now. We can circle back around on Leonard. So two of these cultists wheel him into an operating theater full of nurses who are, they do the nurse thing. They are activated when you come near them. They've got knives in their hands. And these two dudes who are just wearing like rubber suits and have like a cattle prod, which where'd they get the cattle prod, but who cares?
And what made them think a cattle prod would work on Silent Hill demons?
That would be enough. Clearly they've been in this room before, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It seems like it's their job to like wrangle them. It's like they're zookeepers for monsters.
yeah, but like, why that room? Like, do they do operations there? Every time they come in, they got to kill all the nurses so they can, do surgeries?
Yeah,
And
they
then
just come in.
respawn?
And like the guy earlier with the weird face that attacked Heather and she blew his brains out, like he looked like some sort of experiment. Like he had like his brain was like out a little, and like he had like a weird like metallic sci-fi nodule on the back of his head, and it's like,
the
are they
Matrix
doing
thing.
are they doing experiments? Like, what is this place and what do they do with it? And is it just a monster zoo? Because I could see, if you're being raised in the cult, the educational value of having a monster zoo.
Yeah.
Like, here's what to look out for. Here's how you deal with them. Like that's a survival tactic. Like this
Don't
is a
be
good
scared of the nurses.
school field trip material for Silent Hill cultists. I don't know, but it's just like, this is so strange.
I picture them too, like the way that they say, like, oh, brightly colored animals are usually venomous. So, like, look, the sexier the monsters are, the more dangerous.
the more belts, the more dangerous too.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they walk into the operating theater, it's full of nurses, and they're like, sure, we need to go further into this room. Let's go into the circle. Let's go to the center of the circle of nurses. And we're going to leave Kit Harrington here for reasons. So we'll circle back around to that, because first we got Leonard. Leonard. Malcolm McDowell is in this film.
How did
and
they
he
get
is
Malcolm
shredded.
McDowell in this movie? Like,
Just doing the most.
what a shock that they got him. They got him for one scene, and he acted the hell out of it. He tried really hard to make this not ass.
He's doing his best.
Blind. He's wearing strings, like what used to be a shirt. His head's been surgeried a few times, open and closed. He's in the weirdest, like, padded room because it has a grate on the floor open to, I guess, nothing. And
That's how
he's
he
in
pees.
chains. Yeah.
So nobody has to
just
empty
go
his
wherever.
latrine or something.
Yeah.
And
He'll
he's
go into the
monologuing.
sewer.
Just imagine the smell in this room. You can't.
Ugh.
Yeah, I just love, he's blind. He's like, come, child, give me your face so I can see you. And she's like, I don't think so.
It's like, fool me once.
I do like.
He's super stoked that
really-
Kit Harrington's getting tortured too.
Oh, yeah. He hates that little shit.
My son's a fucking snitch, and now he must suffer.
I was in a Clockwork Orange. What happened to me?
I do really like when she's like, here, tell me what this is. And shows him the seal of Metatron. And he's like, I can't fucking see that.
Can you tell I'm
idiot."
fucking blind? You
I-
oh, what the hell?
I am blind, girl.
It's another one of the best lines because it's just that Kit Harrington, like, I can't follow that up. Just like, obviously, Heather, God.
What the fuck,
Yeah.
Heather?
And Malcolm McDowell, now, he was in Tank Girl. He's not above this.
That's true. That's
Necessarily.
true. Yeah.
He's available.
He was excellent,
Um,
Tank Girl. By the way.
Yeah.
Also acted
But-
the hell out of that stupid role.
He does. He brings it 100%, and they seem to have him for maybe a day, and they
Yeah.
got all the Malcolm McDowell out of it
Yeah.
that they could.
Yeah.
So as soon as she hands Malcolm McDowell the seal of Metatron, he's like, aha, the seal of Metatron. I got the other half right here in my torso.
Yes.
And
he
sticks
stabs
it
it
in.
into his
Sticks it into
chest. He stabs himself in the chest.
You
with the
want
seal. It's a circle too. Like, we can't add. There are no edges. There are no
No.
points.
He's like gnaws into himself, and he somehow like combines the two, despite the fact that he's covered in chains and in his own torso. He gets them to align. Maybe they're magnetic. I don't know.
And now he can see and choke
now he can
choke
see.
Heather.
And he says, "I see the truth of you now, girl." And then he goes sicko mode and starts like convulsing and turning into a flesh beast. Heather needs to fight the flesh beast. She loses. And he starts
Badly.
like carrying her away.
So I
Yes,
want to
I
point
asked
out. I want to point out the where Leonard stands in the games. Leonard is Claudia's father. I think they kept that in.
Good.
So they got that part right. Leonard doesn't have the seal of Metatron, which is, by the way, just one piece in the game. He is saying like, well, he fucking hell, he has. Fuck, I'm so confused now. So
Is he blind?
I don't know, but he's a monster man. You run
Okay.
it, you go and find him. He says that the seal of Metatron is really important. He has it, actually. I am remembering this now. He does have it, but when you go down into his little monster sewer, and he's like really big, really mushy, and he's like swimming around and stuff like that. It's this whole goofy boss fight. He's like, you think he's on your side, and he's gonna give you the seal of Metatron so you can stop Claudia. And he's like, no, like I don't like how Claudia's going about this, but like like, we should still do the apocalypse. I'm still a crazy fucker. And Heather's like, well, okay, I guess I have to fucking kill you to get this thing. And she just, has a boss fight with this guy, gets the seal of Metatron. She's cool with it. Vincent told her to get the seal of Metatron from Heather, from Leonard. Oh my God. But it turns out it's a MacGuffin that does nothing. It has no powers. It's just a fucking coaster. It's a big wild goose chase. And that's one of the criticisms of the plot of Silent Hill 3 is like, why did we do this? This is nothing.
Well, in this one,
it's
the
something.
seal of Metatron makes you into a very shitty looking monster.
That's very tall. He's like fucking 7 feet tall. Taller
Jacked
than
as hell.
Taller than Malcolm McDowell is.
Yeah.
I guess Malcolm McDowell, like when you're locked up in chains, you can just do push-ups all day.
Yeah.
So this Party City ass motherfucker is carrying Heather
Yes,
away.
Heather.
He's got big goofy monster hands. Oh, that's
He
great.
does.
He's got like flesh across his face. Also, when he put the seal of Metatron into his chest, there's a very like clear cut, and then he like is fine. There's no hole or anything. And then he goes into this monster form, and then there's a big gaping hole where she could see the seal through his chest.
Big glowing weak point.
Yeah,
Yep.
shoot the monster in the big glowing weak point.
And
And
she
then
does with her hands.
She
She
fucking
just,
reaches in and just takes it, and that's
grabs
enough
it.
to just turn him into dust, I
Yeah,
guess.
she snatches his soul, grabs the seal of Metatron. The Oreo is complete. Both halves have been assembled. And at this point, she starts feeling Alessa's presence. We don't see Alessa yet, I don't think, but she's like walking around. She feels something, and then it turns out this asylum has more than 2 people in it. So
Yeah.
some other dudes who are behind cells like start grabbing at her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get killed by the inmates of this asylum."
I got grabbed
And
by the
there's-
ghoulies.
There are weird heads under the floorboards too, which are creepy. And then protagonist Pyramid Head shows up.
Yay.
Famous protagonist.
And the audience cheers like Kramer bust into the room.
Yes, exactly. He shows up and he just starts lopping arms.
Yep.
Everyone is
which-
sticking their arms out of their cells, and they must know that
Please, Pyramid Head, chop my arms
Yeah.
off. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
This is
Do
not the first
it.
time Pyramid Head has done this. Like, this is classic Pyramid Head.
I like to think this
Yeah.
is his job at the asylum, and
Yes.
he works
Yeah.
there. He's the arm chopper.
Look,
People
there's one
start
guy who
getting
takes the
rowdy.
notes. Someone
There's-
takes the notes, and then he comes and he prunes every once in a while. If you don't prune your inmates, they just grow all over the place.
Also,
There's
I'm
a
pretty
guy-
sure they made Pyramid Head even taller and even buffer
Yes.
than in the previous movie.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
The
so
stilts
big.
are huge.
He is
So big.
yoked.
There's like a disappointment in the scene where Pyramid Head like leaves that hallway, and there's one guy who still has his arms out, and he's like, "Why not me?" I
So
don't
at this
understand.
she gets away because protagonist Pyramid Head has done his duties. She finds Vincent in the operating theater. They, figure out that the nurse situation's a problem, and she starts frantically untying Vincent. She's like, "I guess you're fine. You're cuter than the other cultists." We get, I think, the best, like from a purely artistic perspective, we get the best shot of the movie where Kit Harrington's on the operating table and he needs to dodge a nurse. So they, like, I think strapped the camera to the gurney, and then when he tips it over, the
Yes.
camera follows him to the ground,
That was
which
clever.
I think legitimately way to go. That's the best, I think, shot in the movie.
Yeah, it's cool.
They escape from the nurse theater. The 2 dudes who wheeled Kit Harrington in were murdered by their hubris to walk into the operating theater and just take for granted that they're surrounded by monsters. At this point, they're trying to find the sanctuary, which is underneath the merry-go-round, I guess.
Did Vincent tell him that? I think Vincent mentions that.
Yeah.
By the
He
way,
said,
this
yeah.
amusement park is like right next door to the asylum. It's like across the street or something.
Yes.
The floor
it's-
plan is very strange. Like, the city
Silent Hill's floor
planning,
plan always strange.
it's odd.
But we get to the amusement park, which is pristine. Like, all the other
Oh, yeah,
buildings
it
we've
looks
seen are
great.
dilapidated, foggy. This one, look, the brain scrambler works.
There's a
Ferris wheel.
There's like stuff moving still. There's a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man in the background.
All the lights work.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's like
it's nice. It's a nice, like
it's
normal,
functioning.
spooky, but like it feels like a functional amusement park around October.
Yeah,
It's
but it's
not-
spooky in
Yeah.
it's spooky in the way that like, hey, remember that birthday party from before? Now they're juggalos. It's the same sort of thing.
There are so many Robbie the Rabbits in this movie. Take a shot every time you see one. Robbie the Rabbit, by the way, is from Silent Hill 3. He's just the mascot of Lakeside Amusement Park, but Konami was very determined to make him a thing, like Pyramid Head. And it's like, he was never as good as or as cool as Pyramid Head. So it's like, please stop trying to make Robbie the Rabbit happen.
Yeah, and I really wish I knew what amusement park they shot that in, because that was clearly a functioning carnival.
Mhm.
And I wonder if that place still exists. Like, can I go to the place where they had the goldfish in the green water? The dead goldfish. That's how you know it's spooky. The goldfish are dead at this
And
carnival.
also the I just noticed that the little carousel, it's like a fast carousel though. It's covered in saran wrap.
It is.
Spooky.
Yeah. Saran wrap was not a thing in the first movie or any of the games.
No. Great.
So at this point, Vincent's like, look, you got to get to the merry-go-round, and there are, they're the most devoted cultists are the ones who wear the sweet
The
divers
brethren.
outfits.
Yeah, this is a strange distinction to make, because that's what the cult was called in the first movie, right?
I don't know.
Order? The order.
Yeah.
They were the order.
The order.
There's the order
So
and there's
the
the
name-
brethren.
The name The Order is from Silent Hill Homecoming. They're not named until they're kind of mentioned in Silent Hill 3. Like the locals call them The Order. It's like mentioned in some magazine. And that's the only time it's mentioned in the first 4 games. And then the 5th game just ran with that. Like, that's what they're called, The Order. It's spooky.
Well, yeah, you have to tie into this amazing movie that's going to pull people in.
Mhm.
So, like, he says, look, the brethren, they don't breathe in the darkness, so they wear these divers helmets. And then Heather, like, pulls the mask off of one of them, and they just start convulsing black fluid.
And he starts, like, fucking ink starts coming out of his mouth.
I want to mention that a little before that, Kit Harrington kissed.
Oh, I thought that was after.
Lemons. If
Yep.
they fucking
No.
they had a moment in the spooky carnival,
Yeah.
and he planted one on her and went running to do some heroic distraction or something. And
Just
it's
like all carnivals.
just like,
They're for
yo, this
romance.
is not deserved.
And just, yeah, very much not.
Terrible.
But also, like, not that it matters. We've established nothing in this movie does.
Nothing matters. Yeah.
But there's no explanation for why the air only murders them, except maybe they're so devout their body can't take it. But, like, Kit has been breathing this the whole time with no issues.
I don't.
Leonard
understand.
too.
Is it a, like, because they think it's going to kill them, it does situation?
It's psychosomatic.
That's
Yeah,
an intense
exactly.
nocebo effect. Like, it just boils their lungs.
Mhm.
I have no earthly idea about like what's going on with the minor costumes. Because and this comes back to the whole Centralia thing. It comes back to the coal fire and the ash, and that means that the air must be bad. Silent Hill has always had really great air. That's the one thing not bad about
Famously.
Silent Hill. Famously clear air. And then like Homecoming happened, and it was tying into the first movie, and it's like, okay, we need to have these miners as enemies. So now the miners are like really linked with the cult now. Even though that cult was different than the one in Silent Hill because it takes place in Shepherd's Glen. So it's a different offshoot of the cult, but they're wearing the miner costumes, and here we are with them again, and I don't know.
In the first one, birds can sense the darkness, like the proverbial canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, the
Like,
canary
just
in the
not a
coal mine
dumb
stuff.
idea.
It's like a whole thing that doesn't actually like make sense ever. But they just keep making movies and stuff where they're just like, no, trust us. We insist. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
She reruns the first scene of the movie. Again, she speedruns it. She gets to the merry-go-round. She sees Pyramid Head. He's yoked. He's like, I need to make the merry-go-round go.
His nipples are impaled.
Yep. And then a creepy girl who's like a CGI'd version of the girl from the first movie, because I guess she's too old now to play herself again.
I don't know. I wonder.
She then becomes Juggalo-fied Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And is like, you shouldn't be here. Do you think I won't kill you?
Oh, hold on. I gotta give a shout out to the line she says before this, which is like, oh, what is it? She says, daughter, sister, self.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What a line that was.
That's very good for like Chrono Cross reasons.
Yes.
Sister, daughter, clone.
Exactly. I was gonna reference that. If you like that line, you should go listen to our Chrono Cross series. ZP's favorite aspect of that game, baby daughter clone. Just bringing it around to Silent Hill now.
Yep.
I want to
Daughter,
shout
sister,
out whoever batshit makeup artist decided to do this to Alessa in general. Like, you know, not quite Juggalo, but more like adorable panda, because she has a little bit of under her nose. She's got a little bit of blackness there, and it just kind of makes her look like she got face painted at the carnival to be a panda. It's just fucking funny.
Cute. Yeah.
I really want to unlock that costume in Silent Hill 3.
Oh my god. Raccoon Heather. She's just so cute. Like, it's supposed to be scary, but she's got these big, like, she's got those like blackout eye contacts in, but it just makes her eyes look like big, like panda eyes, and she's so cute.
Yeah. I think if you go to Six Flags during the, 13 days of Halloween or whatever they call it, you'll see people in that makeup.
Mm-hmm. Adorable.
Yes.
And
so,
she's fucking pissed.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna kill you you shouldn't be here. They want to bring us together so that they can kill us, but I'm gonna kill you so that they can't kill you, or whatever. And then they hug it out, and they have a battle for who will be the supreme Alessa, and Heather wins, and so she claims Alessa's powers for herself, and realizes that she's got the Alessa juice. So she goes down into the sanctuary. They're like, aha, we've trapped you, you dumb idiot girl. You want to save your father and my sexy son? Well, too bad. I'm going to kill you and birth our god, for I am Trinity from the Matrix. And Heather is like, well, you should probably take this seal of Metatron from me so that you can do...
Here, have this.
Here, come closer. Speak closer to me. And, Claudia didn't learn the lesson from Leonard the way that Heather did.
I just want to shout out this arena. Like,
yes.
Yeah,
this is
very
the most
boss fight.
stupidest dope ass arena. It's like half boss fight, half Hades Town. It's like, oh my god, this just looks like a set for a musical. Everyone's gonna start dancing any moment on all of these like this raised tier seating. They're gonna have a dance number on this. Valtiel's in the center. It's lit up from below with the fucking halo of the sun shit. It is so ostentatious. I just cannot get over how much of a set this looks like.
Yeah, it is very much like the final fight in the new Harley Quinn movie, the Birds of Prey. Mm-hmm. It's just like, here's a carnival and here's a fight scene setting. So she grabs the seal of Metatron. Claudia grabs the seal of Metatron, and Heather's like, psych, I learned how to do dark magic. And so she turns Claudia into her true form, which is the Cenobite monster. She was the Cenobite monster all along.
By the way, it also feels like Carrie-Anne Moss. They also only had her for a day.
Yes, 100%. She's on one set. She's in one outfit. So she transforms and is like, I'm going to kill you, Heather. And Heather's like, psych, I control Pyramid Heads now. And Pyramid Head unshackles himself from the hooks in his nipples. And he's like, okay, I got work to do.
He rips them out. He doesn't carefully unshackle himself. He fucking rips it out.
Yeah, and he comes downstairs with his big, stupid sword, and they have a fight.
They have the most lethargic fight possible because these costumes are so cumbersome, and it looks so dorky. There is no amount of quick cuts and swooshing around the camera that can make this look cool, and yet they are insisting this is the coolest shit you've ever fucking seen. It is so funny.
They're just groping around so much.
Both
It's
actors, by the way, cannot
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
No.
They're blind. So these two people in these stupid costumes cannot fucking see what they're doing at all. Pyramid Head gets stabbed straight through. Heather's very upset about that for some reason. Like,
Yeah,
she
he's
just
like,
met
"Nah,
this
I'm a
guy.
monster." No, it's cool. I'm a giant monster. I can get stabbed. It's whatever. And my favorite part is when the Cenobite monster takes its fucking can opener hands and starts like can opening the pyramid.
I was like, are we gonna get to see his face?
It's James. What the?
We don't.
I wanted just meat to start pouring out. Like,
Oh. SpaghettiOs fall out for some reason.
I wanted some Viva Pinata confetti.
that would have been good too.
And then Pyramid Head just fucking chops her whole head off in 3D, and it flies at the screen. And then he looks at the camera, and he looks like a fucking badass.
Gives a big thumbs
and then he
up.
waddles away.
He waddles away. His butt is almost out.
Yeah.
Cowards, show the ass. Show the cakes.
Yeah, he's got great abs. Just outstanding little whatever that little V is.
Oh, the Adonis
lower
belt.
Part of the torso.
Adonis
Yes, he's
belt,
got that
baby.
going on.
We call those
Good for
cum
him.
gutters.
I knew that one. I was gonna throw
Colloquially,
that there,
they're
but-
cum gutters. Anatomically, it's the Adonis belt.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
He waddles away with his giant sword and his cum gutters, and Heather frees her father from the crotch of Valtael.
Vincent's there. He's fine.
He's
fine.
They
and
just
he's hot.
watch this crazy fight, and they're just like on the sidelines being like, oh wow, ooh.
And he kills the Pyramid Head kills a lot of cultists on accident, which is great.
You can't help it. He's huge.
Yeah.
I just love that
Can't see.
this idea that like Pyramid Head is like Alessa's protector, and I do not know why. It's like a thing for the first movie, and it's from nowhere else. Like Pyramid Head has functionally nothing to do with the plot of Silent Hill 1 or 3. He is just from Silent Hill 2, and he shows up elsewhere in other games simply because he shows up in the first movie. Because they had to put this iconic monster in the first movie, which has nothing to do with the plot of that situation. And then he has to show up in other movies like this, and then he had to show up in Homecoming, and everything went to shit there. It's just like such a cascade of events that led to this thing happening that we just saw.
The rah-rah fight between a monster that was made entirely for this movie and Pyramid Head, the penis monster that like threatens you throughout Silent Hill 2.
A very specific man's specific monster, and now he's just the town bicycle of Silent Hill. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
He
And
is the mascot. I mean, the protector of Alessa. It's fine.
Yep.
so they try to escape. Sean Bean's like, "Yo guys, I know that we should leave the hell dimension, but I'm going to find your mom.
I want to
so you
stay
two-
a little bit longer.
I like it here.
You two go. I'm going to join. Look, did you see this cool society? I want to be part of this. I'm going to make it better. I hope you became mayor of Silent Hill."
He just disappears into the mist.
What he's really
For a-
becoming, functionally speaking, is James from Silent Hill 2, because they
Pretty
are
much,
foreshadowing Silent Hill 2's plot in some upcoming movie. The end of this movie is the most batshit thing in the world, because they
Yes.
drop not one, not two, but 3 sequel hooks.
Yes.
And I cannot believe
What's the third one?
the audacity of doing that is
It's-
so outrageous to me. I just
Okay.
cannot help but just be in awe that they fucking did that. That's insane.
So
James,
Sean-
is James.
the
Yeah,
truck
sticks around.
driver,
The truck driver is Travis
and
Grady.
the prison.
Oh,
And the
the truck
prison
driver was
bus
Okay.
from
yeah.
fucking Downpour. They put all of them in at the end. So yeah, Sean Bean fucks off to become presumably James, basically. Heather and Vincent get picked up by a truck driver who introduces himself as Travis, if I'm not terribly mistaken. He fucking
Yeah, he's
says,
Travis.
"Hi.
He's like, "I'm Travis Grady.
Hello,
Hi."
I'm Travis
Hello.
Grady from Silent
Name
Hill
drop.
Origins," he practically says to their face. And they drive off. You are now leaving Silent Hill. And then there's like, there's
prison
a
bus.
beat, and then the prison bus goes into Silent Hill, and the camera follows it like, wink, wink. They're in trouble.
Uh,
And then it pass it, like there's the now leaving and it's all good, and then when the prison bus goes in, it's shadowy Silent Hill again.
It's all foggy and fucked up, and they're gonna have a bad time in there.
I haven't played Downpour, so I didn't even know what that was foreshadowing.
Yep, believe it
I
or
only
not.
know because of the wiki.
Yep.
And that's Silent Hill Revelation, and then we get some sweet Akira Yamaoka music over the the credits, and the sexy nurses fight the fucking mannequin monster.
The credit
In the-
scene kind
in
of
the credits.
slaps though.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it
the
does. That's
credits.
part of the whole
The
movie.
credits are the best parts of the
Yeah.
Silent Hill movies. Absolutely, bar none, no comparison.
Just watch those credits.
The credits are
that's
dope.
So, are we looking forward to which of the three hooks would you like to see?
Ooh,
Prison?
that's a really hard
Prisoners?
question. Oh,
Let's do all three of them at once. I'm sure that'll make for a great
fuck
movie.
it up. I think the one that would hurt my feelings the most is Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Just because they'll fuck it up so
They're
bad?
gonna fuck it up so
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
And also like, what you can't make Silent the stuff they've done with the characters and the plot with these two movies has made Silent Hill 2 an impossibility to make. You'd have to completely change the plot, because the whole idea of Silent Hill 2 is this, sad ass man. Either he's a bastard or he's just a real fucking sad ass traumatized guy. It's dealer's choice, player's choice, what you want to read into James's personality, which is something I like about it. You have to come down on it in a movie though. You can't, it's not up to player choice or interpretation usually. You kind of have to come down on a real motivation. Because fucking James, spoiler alert, kills his wife. How are you going to possibly work that into the plot of these movies where his wife is kind of alive, and also he loved her, and also he wouldn't do that, and also if he did kill his wife, Silent Hill 1 and Revelations wouldn't have happened? What the fuck are you going to do with that? You can't just fucking sequel drop Silent Hill
Wait,
2, you madmen.
Was
You
was he
absolute
wearing
madmen.
the jacket? Was he wearing the James Sunderland jacket when he
know.
ran back into the fog?
Oh,
Look,
shit.
I don't know.
Oh,
Let me
that's-
find out.
Scroll
That'd be
back
funny.
there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. The Silent Hill 2 one, just because they'll fuck it up so bad. Like,
Hmm.
Origins is basically Silent Hill 2, but worse. Like they-
Origins would be also an incredible clusterfuck because it's about the history. It's a prequel to 1. So how do you
Yeah.
put a prequel to the first Silent
Flashbacks.
Hill movie? You got to get Officer Gucci for the whole thing. Obviously, it's going to be the Adventures of Officer Gucci. I don't know how you even make that either. I think the cleanest break is Downpour. And Downpour, what you do with that is you make Downpour with Silent Hill 2's plot. That is the only clean way to make a sequel out of this movie material.
What the fuck?
See, I was hoping that they would just go anthology with it. They just go,
I know.
look, 1 and 2, that was its own thing. Now we're just going to do the thing that I wish that Silent Hill ever did,
Mhm.
which was just like different fucked up people stumbling into Silent Hill, being
Yeah.
tortured by their weird hang-ups.
Yeah, just make it like a Twilight Zone ass anthology, and
Yeah.
and yet they didn't do it,
No,
unfortunately.
2 does that. Origins does that.
Origins doesn't
Da-
do that.
It try like you find a lot of you find his dad, you find his mom, you fight his dad,
Yeah.
you fight his mom.
Yeah, but it's
kind of him.
but it's still, the real reason the game's happening is so that you can like see
Learn
these
stuff.
characters from the first game and learn stuff.
Yeah.
And here's Dahlia, she's younger, and he's kind
Here's
of
the fire.
yeah, like he's kind of helping the plot along a little bit in a weird way, of Silent Hill 1. So, I mean, it's kind of retconning some stuff in different ways that I did not like.
Yeah.
And then, like, I had no idea how badly you could retcon something until this movie happened, though.
Yeah.
Well,
It's incredible.
That's
So,
all
yeah,
the revelations.
we're very
retconning.
excited.
I just, like, when I saw this in the theater and I saw the ending happened, I remember literally like, yelling in the theater and like startling people because I was like, no!
What?
I shouted like, what? Like, no! Because the 3 sequel hooks was insane. It was just one after another. It was like getting
It's
punched.
all in one scene. Like no breaks,
No
no
breaks.
cuts.
Just like a 1, 2, 3 punch. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, you rarely see a 3-hit combo in a movie like that.
Incredible. It was like the
Oh,
3-hit
yeah.
combo of the jump scares at the start of the movie. It's like you can't do 3 of them.
Yeah.
Who meant
You know,
you?
maybe this was a groundbreaking film.
Yeah.
It really broke the rules of
Misunderstood.
cinema.
So yeah, this movie, I would say it is worth the $4 it took me to rent it. If you're bored and you like the Silent Hill stuff and you're down to be upset with the canon.
It is such a funny movie. Like I said, it's a
Yes.
comedy
Yeah.
movie. It really is. It's a comedy horror movie, and it is a really good drunk watch with some friends. Sit down with your buddies, make up a drinking rule or two, and just riff this thing. It is a really
Yes.
fun group watch experience because it is the schlockiest thing. Even without the 3D glasses, which I wish you could watch this in 3D still. I don't think you can. It is still like it's a rowdy movie experience with friends.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that I don't know if as a Silent Hill novice I am rating it too leniently,
No, go ahead.
but I think that the ratings that it got were a little strong. I gave it like a 35-ish, maybe a 30. It was not a bad experience for
These critics
but
are too harsh. It's not a 1 out of 5. It's a 2 out of 5. Come on,
Yeah.
people.
It's
Get your heads out of your asses.
It's slightly like I was reading like it got a 5% on Metacritic. Like that seems a little harsh. Jacob's Ladder, the remake, that's less than a 5.
I had fun watching this movie in a way
Yeah.
that the Jacob's Ladder
Yeah.
remake never gave me
No,
that sort
yeah.
of joy. I never laughed
Exactly.
watching that movie.
Absolutely agree. Like, this movie, if anything, it is not dull. I'm never
Yes.
bored by this movie. The Jacob's Ladder remake was absolutely so goddamn dull. It was impressive.
Both
But
boring and grim.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
no way to live.
I forgot, by the way, that mannequin is also based off of a bad guy from Homecoming. So we're
Is
picking
it?
and choosing all sorts of little.
I haven't played
influences.
Homecoming in 10 plus years, and when I played it, I was like, why is it a third-person shooter?
Why is it?
Why-
Good question.
Why do I have a machine gun? Why is the aim so good?
Why is the knife so good and I'll never use anything else?
Yeah, I was just, if you can mow down all the enemies reliably, it's not scary. And
Yeah.
that was that game's problem for me.
That game had a lot of really funny problems in it too. This movie and Homecoming are kind of at similar levels of quality for me because they are like just really goofy and too gory, and they're missing the point of Silent Hill stuff. But that being said, they're not boring and they're pretty fucking funny, and they're like my ironic S ranks. You know,
they're fun.
like they're so dumb. I have I've turned a corner where I have been completely like destroyed by ironic enjoyment of things, and it's just like, fuck it, maybe I just enjoy it, maybe I'm just an idiot. Do I care anymore? Fuck it,
I've
my
been
brain's broken now.
irreparably damaged.
But like
I think
my
this is fine.
my taste has been utterly turned inside out by things like this happening to this franchise.
Yeah, the old fun fact: if you ironically like something, you like something.
I think you just
It's
like
fine.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
Silent Hill as a fandom is incredibly gatekeepy, so it was really hard to admit, like, maybe I just like this piece of shit, and maybe that's just fine to just be like, you know what, this movie's a piece of shit, and it's great. I don't.
This movie's way more interesting because Kit Harrington can't do an accent.
Yeah.
That's
That's way better than if he nailed it.
one of the best parts of this movie. It's so good. Oh
Yeah.
man.
So final thing, I did ask the fans of the show if they had any questions. I saved this for the end because it seemed like for you, since you're going to be on the show, and they had Sumo questions.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I
love
was not
this.
sure how this was going to be received.
Okay. So from the Discord, we had two questions. Do you think Taka Keisho stands a chance to string together the wins for Yokozuna this year?
Oh God, good question. I don't know. He's been he had a couple of injuries. He fell on his neck last Basho and messed up his cervical spine a little bit. So that was a bit of he came back and he didn't seem like it did much damage to him, but it's just like, man, you can't tell with these people when they get hurt, like they hide it. And then like you'll find out like this guy's out and you'll be like, what, how, what happened? He was walking around.
He's got a broken neck.
Yeah. It's like, oh, like, you know, he like blew out his knee and he just was hiding that he was limping. It's like, that's fucking crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Taka Keisho, he could. I hope he's the next Yokozuna, actually, of all the people that are, you know, in the running. I think he's got the chutzpah. He's doing okay, I think. I don't think he's losing too bad right now in this basho. Anyway, good question. Thank you.
And the second question was, can Mita go 14-1 and make Ozeki?
Oh, Mitakeumi. Oh, he could, actually. He's, like, doing really good. Isn't he, like, 7-0 right now? I think he's like in the lead. I'm like talking to you guys like, you know, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I know some Japanese stuff, but I do not know the current standings of sumo.
I know, I'm sorry. Mitakeumi, I think he is in the lead because Teruno Fuji lost 2 days ago, and so did Abi. He lost recently too, and he was the other one in the lead. So right now he's 7-0. I don't know, magic could happen or something tragic could happen. I'm really not sure. That's the joy of sumo. It's like, what the fuck's gonna happen? I don't know. It's crazy.
In the Discord, they said Mita could go 14-1 or 13-2, but he's not beating Teru anytime soon, and it sounds like Teru lost in the time since this question was asked.
Maybe.
So maybe.
He might. Yeah, he did get one loss 2 days ago, I think. So, I mean, even if, you know, I mean, maybe this person's more recent and Mitakeumi got a loss, and I haven't watched that episode yet. Day yet. Yeah. I think I'm caught up though. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I am, but it's hard to keep up on it because spoilers.
This question came out 9 days ago, 6 days ago. So I don't think that they know anything you don't.
Well, guess what? Mitakeumi, he's doing pretty good right now, surprisingly. Excellent. And I'm just happy Abi lost. I fucking hate that guy.
So do you know, like, do you fucking hate that guy because of stuff he's done in the ring or outside of the ring?
Both.
Like, reporting.
Both. Okay. He's a scumbag and I hate him. Fucking Abi. So this guy, young upstart, whatever. First of all, he's boring to watch. All he do is push. And I know it's sumo. Boo. I know it's sumo, and it's like, isn't that the point? You got to push hard.
No, you got to lift too. You got to grab
them,
wedgie them, and throw them.
There's grabs, there's throws, there's all sorts of cool. There's trips. You can do all sorts of stuff. All this dude does is push, and it's the most boring thing to watch. And he wins all the time, and I don't know how. When simply, if I were a sumo wrestler, I would simply step to the side so he falls down. But that's just me. But fucking, so this guy's boring to watch. And I'm always rooting for him to fail because he does the same thing every time. And he's a one-trick pony. And for some reason, nobody has figured him out yet. And that pisses me off. But the other thing, he's good at pushing. Like, I'll give him that. He's really good at it. But God, it's so dull to watch. Meanwhile, you watch guys like Ura and he pulls out so many tricks to get stuff done. And it's like, that's a guy that's worth fucking looking at. This guy just pushes and wins. And it's like watching like a toddler fight with another toddler. Like, it's not dignified sumo. Like, it's just hitting each other and it looks really embarrassing. And it's just cringy to me. I just don't like it. And he keeps winning. So damn it. But the other reason I hate this guy is because of him, all sumo wrestlers are not allowed to have social media anymore. So I don't get to see really cute behind the scenes photos of them hanging out, eating and drinking and playing pranks on each other and all this heartwarming shit. Is because this fucking idiot asshole posted a like Instagram video or something of him like kind of bullying or roughhousing a younger stablemate, and he was like tied he was like tied up with like hogtied with like with like rope, and it was like ha ha ha, and it was like, you know, sumo has a very sordid history of hazing. And it's like, dude, the optics are bad on this to begin with, you fucking chuckle fuck. But because he did this, the sumo, like the JSA, the Japan Sumo Association, was like, no sumo wrestlers are allowed to have like social media anymore because this attracted negative attention.
We can't stop these guys from being dirtbags, but we can take their cameras away.
Yeah, and this motherfucker, he used to be up in the high ranks like a year ago or so. The highest ranks, Makuchi. He, during COVID, they have, you're not allowed to go out during COVID, right? They're not allowed to. They all live communally. If one guy gets COVID, the whole stable is out for a whole tournament with COVID. And these guys are huge, so they're immunocompromised. There's already been 2 or 3 sumo wrestlers in lower ranks that have died from COVID because they are big boys, and COVID kicks the ass of people that are overweight. And motherfucking Abi was out at hostess bars and shit like that, and was forcing a younger guy to cover for him and lie for him about it. And he was exposing not just his own stable, but this was during a tournament. He was exposing everybody he fought with to COVID potentially.
Jeez.
Unfucking believable, this fucking asshole. And so he got in trouble and he got demoted to like the lower ranks, like even past. So there's Makuchi, which is the top. There's Juryo, which is the second level one, and there's Makushita, this like very low ranks. He started way back at the bottom, and because he's so good at pushing hard, he's back up in the high ranks. And I'm so mad because it was not enough of a punishment. Fucking boot him out for doing that. It's so dangerous and irresponsible. I just can't stand the guy.
Well, I've learned more about sumo today than I have since that one time I was bored on a vacation and sumo was the only thing on TV.
Thank you for indulging me.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for joining us on this show.
Sorry for the rant.
Oh, no problem. I love a good rant.
Great.
So thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you, VB. Thank you for joining us, Jess.
Absolutely. I love talking about Silent Hill garbage.
So is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Just that I'm on Giant Bomb and it's very cool. And if you complain about me talking about Silent Hill, I will delete your comment.
Or I will, frankly.
Yeah, or he will. Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, she likes a specific game. Ooh, shut up.
Yeah, what a nightmare. What a nightmare to like a thing a whole lot.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, I mean, I literally can't say anything because like at least half of the things that I wrote for Giant Bomb when I was a contributor had Final Fantasy IX in it somehow. Oops. Sorry.
Sometimes you just are a big fucking idiot for a certain game, okay?
Very much so.
And I'd rather be a big fucking idiot for an underrepresented game in an underrepresented genre that Giant Bomb has not really been much into than just be, Halo's good.
Yep, and it is, but sometimes you want to feel scared.
But everyone knows Halo's good. That's boring.
Feel real earnest about a tiny black mage and his journey.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, it was super great talking about Silent Hill with y'all. I can't wait for this sequel that's going to make even less sense than the movie that made the least sense.
Yay.
Excellent. And thank you, Em.
Thank you. I have 2 questions for Voidburger before we sign off. The first one is, if we were to play another Silent Hill, which one would you recommend that we play next?
So to make clear, we've played 2.
Okay, good.
And 4.
And 4. That's fun. Going from
4 first. 4 was the first one we played.
4 was the first one. That's a fun experience. Going from 4 to anything else.
Yeah.
That game is wild.
I love the parts when you're in the room and hate the parts where you're not.
Yeah, man. That's the gist. I hate the first half of that. I love the first half of that game so much. And hate the second half. Hate the back half of that game so much that I literally wrote a post-it note that said, "Don't do it," and I put it on the disc inside of the jewel case in case I ever get the urge.
I quit playing the game when the room turned on me in the second half. I was like, nah.
It's scary.
Nah.
It's scary.
I need to be able to heal.
It's really scary, right? If you've played, if you want a Silent Hill Revelations tie-in thematically, I gotta say Homecoming, which is, I'm doing you guys dirty by suggesting that.
I own that one, so that's good.
It has such a similar vibe to Revelations that I feel like since you just saw Revelations and we just talked about it, like the natural progression would be like the game version of basically this. So okay. Homecoming.
I was leaning Shattered Memories or Origins.
Should anyone play Shattered Memories? I've heard it's
weird one, right? Where people interview you and then I see you're horny.
Yeah, I see you're horny. But P.S. It's very easy for the game to decree you horny. So sorry, I have eyes and I'm looking at, the art assets you put in front of me. Sorry, game. Shouldn't have done that.
You have shown me boobies, and so I am looking at them. I'm
Oops,
sorry.
My bad. I guess that's on me for using my eyeballs.
And now the monsters all have boobies, you sicko.
Damn it.
Total sicko.
Every time.
You like boobs so much? What about now? On a monster. Like,
Oh no.
Oh no, there's still boobs on it. Shat Mems is definitely a weird little guy on his own. It's pretty short though compared to they're all a little short. Like just horror games are shorter than other games, but that would be a fun one because you're all gonna have slightly different experiences. By slightly different, I mean very slightly. I mean like the costumes will barely change and stuff like that. Like the thing that bugs me about that game is that not enough stuff actually changes.
Sybil has 2 buttons unbuttoned instead of none.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
Sybil has 4 boobs instead of 2.
Whoa.
Oh God.
Whoa. But yeah.
And what was your second question?
Second question. This spur of the moment question. If you wanted to have a show talking to a friend of the show and co-host of the Off the Deep End spin-off podcast that we do, Chris Zombie Pie Redacted and Jeff Rude about Sumo, would you be interested?
Ooh, maybe I would.
Because I don't know how those seasons work, but that might be something people might listen to. I don't know anything about Sumo.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. And I'm also not sure how. I feel like I'm not as big of an expert on Sumo.
Oh yeah.
I'm
sure there's a bunch of sumo sticklers.
Yeah,
who are just like, damn, I listen to Giant Bomb content and Giant Bomb adjacent content, and I'm way into sumo, and I can't believe you didn't find one of the 20 qualified people in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Think
feel
about
like
it.
When I watch sumo, I kind of just watch the guys I keep track of, but I can recognize a lot of the guys, but it's like Sadanomi. I don't remember what he's like or what he looks like or what color his mawashi is or how he wrestles. But it's I've got 8 guys that I really know about. And then there's 30 other guys that I'm just oh, it's the guy in the hammer.
Yeah, it's that guy.
Gotcha.
Guy. Sometimes he pushes, sometimes he throws. What a cool guy.
There he goes. Throwing again. Good job.
Well, it seemed like you know what you're talking about. So
I've tricked everybody.
Well, I mean, compared to me, who's I know that they push. You can't go out of the circle. Sometimes they spread salt.
Yep. Always they spread
before
salt.
the matches. These are things.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
That's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested, but I don't know if it's enough content for a weekly thing. But I'd still be interested in
just
for the record,
a basho summary.
We have Once in a Blue Moon basketball podcast because I'm into basketball. Sometimes we have Once in a Blue Moon Magic the Gathering. Well, not anymore. I gave up Magic. Though don't tell Rory that because I'm the second chair on his Magic streams. We'll sometimes have Final Fantasy trading card game stuff. So we do weird nonsense all the time just because folks are into shit.
Okay, cool.
An off-beat thing at some random point.
I'm down.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Em. Thank you, listeners. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. And you can support the show on patreon.com. Wait. You can support the show at patreon.com/deeplistens.
Thanks for having me.
I'm autopilot all the time on the plugs at the end. And the one time I get crossed up, it's just ugh.
Oh, good news, by the way. In the credits, there is somebody credited as uninformed cop.
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, there aren't 2? Is there informed cop and uninformed cop?
There's Detective Santini, there's Detective Cable, and then way after them is uninformed cop.
That's amazing. Hey, what do you think this guy was murdered?
Oh no, is this a gang sign? Maybe
is
that
blood on the walls.
Was that uninformed cop? Was that the guy that suggested that was a gang sign?
Oh man, I'm glad that the detectives got names though. Good for those people. Put that on the resume. All right, well, thank you, listeners. Till next time, peace.